Welcome to Armchair Expert. I'm Dan Shepard. I'm joined by Monica Lily Padman.
Hello.
This is going to be in my top 10 for the year for sure.
Yeah,
top 5 maybe.
Beautiful episode.
Yeah, I really loved this. This was Anna Kendrick style. Just very moving. Minka Kelly. You probably know Minka Kelly. I ruined my engagement over Minka Kelly on Parenthood.
You did. Crosby did,
yes. Minka is an actor, a philanthropist, and a best-selling author. We all fell in love with her on Friday Night Lights. Then she was on Parenthood. Oh, so fun. The Roommate, Titans, and Euphoria, my very favorite show. And her book is out. I hope everyone gets it. It's phenomenal. I read it cover to cover in 2 days. Tell Me Everything. It's going to blow your mind. It's a incredibly honest and moving book. I hope everyone checks it out.
Yeah, what a story. Oh, man, it's so brave.
Yeah. Oh, makes me love her so much. Please enjoy Minka Kelly.
He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert.
Monica, did you already super fan her or no?
No, we hugged. I played it cool.
The fandom is mutual.
Have you heard our show?
Oh, come on.
No, I don't know. A lot of people
since
haven't.
day one. Are you kidding?
Day one?
Of course.
Oh,
yeah.
my God.
Yes, the first episode you talk about how you and Kristen called me.
Oh, the breast implant.
Oh, yeah.
I felt
Yes.
so cool.
You provided me one of my rare victories in that space, which I actually knew that they do go in through the armpit and the belly button.
Yes, yeah.
For breast implants, and she thought that was insane. She called you to confirm this, and you had my back, as it turns out. Well, you just had the truth's back.
I just had the truth.
Yeah, you weren't picking sides. You were just picking the side of the truth.
Is it still done that way? Do we think? I'll do some fact checking.
Well, first of all, did you know that Minka was a nurse?
Yes, I
Yeah.
knew because of that conversation.
Oh,
script
right.
nurse.
Yeah,
right.
yes.
Yeah, that's silly. Of course you did. It's obviously more expensive if you go in through those areas, right?
I guess.
More invasive.
I never participated in those ones. I always did the areola ones.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Old-fashioned.
Yeah,
Textbook.
old-fashioned.
Classic.
Classic
Yeah. It seems
augmentation.
it would be easier to hide the scar because now you have a scar in your armpit.
Right.
But you don't really do the math, right? You're
Right,
like,
you're
oh,
like,
yeah.
she had a little,
Yeah.
she got caught jumping a fence or
Exactly.
something.
That's true.
Or even you might jump to my ex-girlfriend, Carrie, in high school. Her father had his sweat glands removed. He was just going through too many dress shirts, and they then were willing to do that, which
Whoa.
now I don't think they would do.
No, because you need
it.
Where does it now come out of? His elbow?
Exactly.
That's right. That's where they relocated it.
Right.
Well, he had to stay in Michigan. He couldn't go to a hotter climate.
Oh, no.
Yeah. But maybe you would think that.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Couldn't you just
Cute.
Botox your armpits?
I've heard they do that now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the navel seems like, guys, let's just start at the feet.
so
At this point, you're going through half the body.
It's going through my kidneys.
Yeah, put them in rectally at that point. Maybe you don't even have to make an incision.
Oh, man.
Okay, so I called you yesterday.
Yeah.
Because I'm reading your book and it's blowing my mind. It makes me very emotional. And the fact that I know you, it's just so much heartbreaking stuff in there.
And you have little girls. And so I've been learning that my friends that have little girls, it's hard for them to read.
Yeah. I'm also, coincidentally, have you heard of this book, Demon Copperfield?
No.
Barbara
Kingsolver.
King Solver.
Yeah.
The solver of kings.
Yes.
Every time, and I still can't remember it. I haven't read a work of fiction in so long. Someone recommended it so vehemently that I gave it a shot, and it is your story, but it's a boy, because it's a modern retelling of David Copperfield. So it's this little boy whose mother's an addict.
Oh, someone did tell me about
Just
this.
won the
Did it win the
Pulitzer.
Pulitzer? Yes. Someone actually
wait,
did tell me
that's
about
what
this.
won?
Just
for
one,
her.
yeah.
Yes.
What luck is that I haven't read fiction
I know.
in 20 years, and I pick it up, and then it wins the Pulitzer.
Yeah.
It must be you.
I think it's me. Guess what? Your memoir is going to win the
my
Pulitzer
God.
next year.
God.
Yes. Okay, slow down. But his story, it's fictitious, but I kept thinking, and I've talked about it on here a lot, the author has to have been in those situations. There's such a specific dynamic when the stepdad becomes controlling. The way it gets rolled out, the whole thing is so accurate, and it puts me right back in those places. And then everything in your book puts me in them as well.
Did you know any of this stuff already or no?
No, I had a hint. When I called you, I told you we're watching Parenthood. Me and the girls are watching Parenthood, and they love it. Like every night before bed, they're like, come on, wait, we need time to watch a Parenthood episode. So, of course, I was reflecting on the times we worked together on Parenthood. And I think the first clue I ever got, I didn't even know how this would have come up. But I learned that you had been in many brawls in New Mexico and a lot of fistfights, which really took me by surprise. It wasn't really the presenting image.
Mixed messages.
Very
always
mixed
say.
messages. That was maybe the first time I thought, oh, wow, this gal who presents is perfect comes from some shit.
And isn't that, I've learned in itself, a trauma response is to present in the antithesis of the truth of your
Yes.
situation. I talk about in the book how my therapist one day said to me, "You're acting like a stripper's daughter." And I was like, what? No, I'm not. Look, I drive an Audi.
I have an Audi.
Yeah.
It's my seventh one.
And I didn't realize what he meant was the pendulum has gone so far that I'm not being myself. I'm working so hard to prove and show everyone that I didn't come from where I come from.
Yes, yes. It's exhausting.
Yeah. And then at the same time, frustrated that everyone seems to misunderstand me or sort of characterize me as my character on a show.
Like a goody
like I'm
goody or
Lila Garrity.
something.
And I
Yeah.
couldn't be farther from her. And it's so subconscious.
Monica's the real Lila Garrity. She is a state champion cheerleader.
Oh, are you really?
Yeah.
2 times.
Yeah.
Wow.
But we just got in this conversation about goody goodies on a fact check, actually, because you are against them. Well,
I said I love when I find out goody goodies.
have a checkered past,
Yes,
he kept
yes,
saying.
yes,
Which,
Yes.
which is funny because I feel like, I guess, sort of what you're saying, where everyone has a past of some
Exactly.
sort.
Yes.
So whatever you're presenting, whatever goody goody is being presented is never that. You always have something behind it. I think you're a great example of it.
What are your memories of working together on Parenthood? Do you have many? Like, I just saw that you were in an Audi, and I immediately remembered, oh, yeah, she drove an Audi 13 years ago. You're very brand loyal.
Crazy, I know. Whenever anyone asks me what my favorite job was, I always say Parenthood.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
For what reasons?
It was the warmest reception.
Well, we were all huge
You guys,
fans.
there were signs in the hair and makeup trailer. Welcome to Parenthood, Lila Garrett. I mean, like, I just was
cute.
received so warmly and lovingly, and I just felt so at home so quickly. And it's also where I found confidence, because one of the directors, I'll never forget, when I would get notes, I used to respond with, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, I'm sorry." And I remember he pulled me aside one day and he was like, "When I give you a note, it's not because you did anything wrong. You have nothing to be sorry about. I'm telling you because I know that you can do what I'm asking you to do, and you belong here. You're here because you're good."
Was that Larry Trailing?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I'm going to cry now.
And I cried.
Oh.
He looked at me and
He
was
is
like,
the
"You're
most
good, Minka."
beautiful person.
And I just was like, I am? I never felt good. I never felt worthy. I never felt like I belonged here. I just
Yeah.
felt like such an imposter. From then on, I learned to go, "Yeah, you got it. Let's try that." As opposed to,
Yeah.
"I'm so sorry."
Yeah, it's so subtle, but it's so deep.
The layers of unworthiness, I'm still shedding.
Here's a moment I remember really clearly. From my perspective, I'm a huge fan of Friday Night Lights. I'm excited to be meeting you. And then we started having scenes together. And again, I'm trying to figure out who you actually are. But there was one thing that was interesting, I thought. I don't know if you would remember this, but I guess it was the scene before we hook up. We're behind a car outside in front of Adam Braverman's house. And they're setting up to shoot this scene. That's going to be the most romantic one we shoot, because the next one's just action. So that scene to me was really important. And they wanted me to stand on a curb and you to stand down by the car. And then I said, I would really appreciate it if you could let me stand down so you're shooting down on me and then you're looking at the right side of my face and I look my most handsome. And I really would prefer that we shoot it this way. Like, please give me the best shot at this. I got my way, basically. And then they left and went to set it up that way. And then I got insecure, A, because I'm being vain. And then B, potentially I'm being a dick, right? Because I'm saying I want it this way. And you go, wow, that was really impressive. I would never have the
balls to tell them to do it that way. And I don't know, I found that to be a very telling interaction with you.
A big teaching moment for me, that it's okay to ask for what you want and what you need and to advocate for what you think might be best.
Yeah.
Well, it shows that you care, not that you're difficult, and caring is good.
Right. Although now we have to mention, easier for a man to do it than a woman.
Yeah.
Probably looks like I care, and then someone else that, oh, she's so vain.
she's
No
a
one would
bitch.
accuse you of being vain.
I was probably the most vain person on
You're
the
a
whole
director,
cast.
so it's like, oh, he knows.
Yeah.
But anyways, to have known you in that brief time, which was so fun, I loved working with you, and then to read the book and then be overwhelmed with like, yeah, God, you don't really know anything about anybody that you know. And you thin slice through life and you make so many assumptions. So I guess my first question is, how do you come to write this book? Follow-up question to that, what's the difference between writing it privately and then now being in the world talking about it?
I had wanted to write it forever, really. Even in high school, I remember thinking, I'm going to write this, but I have to wait till she's dead
Yeah.
because I just wouldn't want to hurt her, because if she knew what I knew, it would break
It
her
would
heart.
unravel her, yeah,
I did so much of playing dumb for her benefit.
to enable her
Yes.
shit.
To keep the peace.
Yes,
Yeah.
make life easier
Protect
for yourself.
yourself
Yeah.
and her.
Well, when you're with someone that's so fragile and you know that your words have the ability to completely destroy them, and then you're left with your caregivers completely destroyed, that's not really an option on the table.
Exactly. And then I had dinner with my girlfriends like about 8 years ago, and we all shared all this stuff. I just, over the years, not when I was on Parenthood, obviously, you didn't know anything because I would
You know I
never
love
share
fighting,
anything.
so you're like, I'll throw him
Maybe
this
that.
bone.
Yeah. So maybe certain instances like that where I'd be like, oh, that's a safe thing to share. And little things like that over time, giving me permission to be these things would just give me more and more confidence to share more and more. And Pete Berg knew a lot of my story.
Oh,
And
he
so
did.
he would encourage me a lot. Mink, have you written yet? And then one day he was like, if you just fucking wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and write for 20 minutes, before you know it, you'll have 90 pages.
Yeah, it's
Just do it. And I was like, that takes pressure off of it. And so sure enough, I did. But I initially started writing in the format that we know. I wrote a screenplay and I was going to make that.
Can I ask what period of your life the screenplay covered?
It starts with me at 5 years old in the strip club and ends when my mom dies. Initially, I just intended to write a mother-daughter story. Just doing it because I had to. I just wanted to get this story out. And
Yeah.
also because my therapist helped me. I struggled with, well, what's so important about my story? Why is mine more important than anyone else's? And Dr. Krausman said, if you take more out of that question, you have your answer.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't have to be more important. All of our stories are important. And be meaningful to someone. Also, during a time I'm not working, so it's making you feel like I have a job.
Yes,
By
purpose.
I'm going to create my own material. And then the pandemic happened, so that all fell through. Simon Kinberg was on to produce it and make it with me. And then during the pandemic, a couple of people I really trust and love were like, I think you should write a book. There's more story. You should just dig deep and tell the rest of it. And I was like, okay. And then that process took a year. I was very intimidated and also insecure about the fact that I don't have the education to write the book I want to read. And no one writes alone. And I wrote this screenplay alone. I need help.
Yes.
And so I worked with a creative writing professor. She helped me with format, also pushing me to tell the parts that I didn't want to tell.
Of course.
Or asking me more questions or seeing what I would write and be like, why don't you describe this in a little more detail? It was like creative writing crash course.
And you loved her.
Love her.
And you
yes.
trusted her and you didn't.
Implicitly. It changed my life because remembering your childhood like that and unpacking so much of that while simultaneously going through a lot of really intense therapy, the story now has turned into something else. The screenplay was a mother-daughter story. Now this is becoming, oh, this is the thing that happened in my childhood that's now informing me and wreaking havoc on my relationships today.
Yeah. So you can do it in therapy, obviously, and you do it in therapy. But did you find that having it all laid out made you comprehend some things that maybe you hadn't previously?
Sure. You write about your mother in detail. You go, oh my God, I'm doing the same thing. I am following in her footsteps fuck.
Yeah.
On the
That's maddening.
outside, I've made all the big different choices, but subconsciously in the environments I'm recreating for myself, the dynamics and relationships, I'm doing the same fucking thing.
Because it's familiar. Your body wants to do that.
Yes, you go where it's familiar, even if it hurts.
Yeah.
Because where familiar feels safe.
Exactly.
It's what you know. So create chaos.
And you've already developed all the coping mechanisms.
Exactly.
So, like,
I
you know how to
do
handle all the
chaos.
shit.
Yes.
And I even get high on it. I'm an arousal junkie.
Yes, I can tell by your toys outside.
Yeah, by every death-defying piece of equipment in the yard. But now sharing it in public, I can only compare it to me relapsing, talking about it on this show, and then occasionally getting asked about it outside of the safe
what
little
was that
room.
like?
A couple things that worry me is like, I don't ever want that to become a story that I know how to tell perfectly with all the beats. I'm a performer, so if I tell a story 10 times, by the 11th time, I got it.
Right.
And now it's just a story. And I
Right.
don't ever want it to be that. I feel like it's dishonoring the whole experience. So that's one thing. And then just two, it's like, well, hold on, partner. I didn't invite you into this.
Right.
Whoever's
Right.
asking me, Monica and I'm happy to do that with, or even the three of us in this room. It's just a different layer. For me, it's control. In one version, I have total control. And then in the other version, I don't. You had total control when you wrote the book.
Yeah.
And now you're here and we're going to share control or whatever that is.
When it first started being talked about, this narrative was shocking, tragic, awful childhood. And I was just like, whoa, wait a minute. No.
Slow down.
Guys, it's very complex and maybe shocking to you because you had this idea of me, but it's not tragic and it's not all these really horrible adjectives that even in interviews, your childhood was very harrowing. And I'm like, actually, no, it really wasn't. It was also full of love and adventure and fun and the beauty. And I'm here to talk about the beautiful sides of it. There's a lot of collateral beauty to growing up the way we grew up.
Well, it's two things, right? You're here where you want to be. So if you're where you want to be, you can't really hate what came before it because it landed you. So that's one truth. Also tragic. What I think would really hit you is if you're not raising a child, are you?
No, I'm not.
Okay, if you were raising a child and you saw them hit these markers, like if you had a 5-year-old and you were dressing your 5-year-old for kindergarten,
Yeah.
and you imagine sending her to Crazy Girls to watch mom do a routine.
I do that with my friends' kids all the time.
There you go. And you go, oh, no.
Yeah.
You're too tiny for
I know,
this.
I
That's
know.
where it's tragic.
Maybe too, it's like my defense mechanism or my fear of burdening anyone. I'm like, please don't pity me. I'm fine. Look at me. I'm
Yes.
great. I don't need you to feel sorry for me. I also don't want to sensationalize trauma by
Yeah.
going, but look at what it made me. Because I also sometimes think, man, if I'm this great despite all of that, I wonder what I could have been had I had more guidance and nurturing.
Someone that was modeling some behavior you could imitate.
I'm not thankful for it, and I don't think it's necessary to make a good, strong person. It does make me wonder, man, what instruments would I be playing right now? What other career would I have had? I mean, my God, I was fascinated by medicine. I'm so athletic. There's all these things where I'm like, man, I'm really good at that. I wonder what I could have been if someone noticed that a little sooner and nurtured that.
You just reminded me what I actually hate about the relapse story is I can't accept compassion. It's very weird. I don't want it. I don't want to be pitied. That's a weakness. I want to be
Right.
strong and indomitable, and I don't want any of that. I don't like it. In
Yes.
fact, everything I've done my whole life is to demonstrate how fucking indomitable
That's
I
right.
am.
Please don't do that to me.
Which
so
is really
uncomfortable.
fucking weird.
Because it never feels sincere.
Okay.
It feels
Yeah,
like
yeah.
pseudo sympathy. We're like, oh, wow. And you're like, oh, no, don't do that.
Well, yes, there's a version of that which is like, don't placate me.
Is there something in there where you feel like people are saying subconsciously, like, I'm glad that wasn't me when they're giving compassion or sympathy?
Like you would feel dirty and low rent.
Well, within their sympathy, there's this implicit, yikes, I'm glad that wasn't me. And then that would make me feel defensive if I were
What's
on the
wrong
other
with
side of
me?
it. Like,
Yeah.
no, I'm doing good. It's good. Maybe?
I do love I just want to wrap that little Minka up and protect her. I'm like, yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Because for some reason, I feel distanced from little Minka.
Little Minka,
So
yeah.
I'm with with you on that. I'm like, oh, me too. I try to every day.
Oh, I'm rattled the whole time I'm reading it. I'm actually having waves of guilt that I haven't figured out how to figure out what little kid is dealing with this around me that I could be helping. I actually am like overwhelmed with, this hasn't stopped happening. We're getting too far down the road. We need to talk about some things that happened. Yeah. Last thing about writing it, though, before we get into some of the stories.
Okay.
I too am doing the same thing.
Oh, good.
Yeah. And I loved reading your paragraph at the very beginning, which explains this is my story. A lot of this stuff doesn't even make sense.
Memory is self-fallible.
I'm wrestling with that, right? And then I've already written a thing explaining, like, I don't know what to tell you other than this is what
How
I
I
believe
remember
to
it.
be
Yeah.
true. People will probably disagree. I also have these thoughts, and I wonder if you had them where I'm like, no one's going to believe this.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, they're going to think I'm just trying to get attention.
Dax, sometimes I wouldn't even believe it. I'm like, this is nuts. I know it sounds crazy. And so my editor, we would interview whoever I could get a hold of.
Yeah.
After I would write something, would talk to my mom's best friend, Claudia, or talk to my best friend, Angel, from high school. And they would verbatim tell the same exact story that I already told. And I'd be like, all right, my
Yeah.
memory is intact. I don't remember a lot, but what I do remember has been pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Because just like you, I'm like, you can't make this shit
Yeah,
up.
that sounds
It's-
preposterous.
It sounds crazy.
Yeah. She tells a story about she's with her friend and her friend's cousin, Yvonne. And Yvonne is scheduled to fight her own cousin, who's younger than her. And the whole school got out and has gathered to watch this fight. There's 100 people in the street. And Minka and her friend arrive. Minka thinks she's going to see this fight between Davina and Yvonne. And when she gets there, Davina's like,
Oh,
oh,
it's
no,
you."
I want to fight Minka.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So like the fight with 100 people watching, I've been in that exact same situation where it's like, this is out of a movie. There's 100 people involved in this.
Yeah. When I was writing the screenplay, I was deciding, do I start with the little girl in the strip club or do I start in the middle of that fight? Of like sitting on top of this girl in the middle of the street.
Oh my God. And then just because we're there, wondering like, when do you stop?
Right.
And then some primitive compulsion going, I just want them to be out cold. Like whatever that is where they can't get back up. That's what I'm going for. But who knows where this ends? And I don't know when this is supposed to end. Just the confusing nature.
And the consciousness that you have throughout.
And the detachment
Yeah,
from
yes.
striking somebody, being grateful that I'm
It's
on
not me.
top.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
this could be worse. I could be on bottom. Yeah, that bizarre space of time where you're doing that. You're watching yourself from above
Yes.
yourself.
I still can see the moment where it slowed down. I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Someone pull me off soon because this is bad, but I can't stop.
And if I
Everyone's
do, they
screaming
might.
at me to keep going.
Oh, God.
And every time I get up, she tells me she's going to do it back at me.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
are you sure?
3 rounds.
Yeah.
So would she challenge you to this fight? Did you have the thought, I have to say yes or I have to do it?
No, so she was over there from her car, yells out, I don't want to fight you, Yvonne. I want to fight Minka. And I went, what?
Yeah. Like, why?
And I look at Yvonne like, surely you're not going to let that happen. And Yvonne hands me a hair tie and says,
Oh.
put your hair up. And here she comes.
You're not choosing whether or not you're in this
I
fight.
have
You're
no
in the
choice.
fight.
Yes, it's
Yeah,
coming
yeah.
for me.
With 100 people cheering, there will be a fight
There
today.
will be a fight.
It might not be the people that were scheduled or promoted
Yeah,
to
whoever
fight.
she wants to fight is going to be in the fight.
Okay, but the fantasy I have, so I have this thought, well, no one's going to believe this. People are going to think I want attention. People are going to think I want sympathy. Blah,
All of
blah, blah,
that.
blah. Yeah.
Yes.
The stupid voice in your head, your shadow.
So much of that.
I know when I'm ruminating on stuff that a trick for me is to go, after hours of it, I'll go, just write down the list. I'm in a court case in my head, right? You and I are going to argue, and I got to make these 9 points. And I get obsessed with the notion that I can't forget these 9 points. So I just keep going over them. And then eventually I'll go, just write them down. And I write my whole little argument down. And now I don't have to hold it in my head because it's all there. And so I have this fantasy that in writing the book, it'll be a way for me to peacefully and with love and respect, let it leave my head. Okay, it's there now. You don't have to keep cycling through the details so that you don't forget. And I'm just wondering if you're on the other side of that and if that little thing has happened.
Totally. I mean,
Really?
it's also why they say in therapy, write it out. It does free you. Something about all of this now being out of my hands, none of it has any power over me anymore.
Yeah.
It's also why I start the book with the most humiliating and embarrassing and scary part of my past and the one I carried the most shame about. I worked as a girl in a peep show at a dingy adult video store on the side of a highway in Albuquerque.
Broken glass all over the pavement.
Yeah.
At 17, you've
At
lied.
17 years old, yes, with my friend's ID.
Which doesn't look anything like you.
Nothing like
They
me,
don't give
but
a
she didn't
fuck.
care.
Yeah.
She was like, great, when can you start?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, now you can't shame me about it anymore.
Exactly.
And also my therapist, I remember telling him after telling someone about that and then being so ashamed of me and going, oh, Minka, you could have done anything. And you're like, no, I couldn't have. But in that moment, I didn't have the time or the confidence to go, let me give you some context of why I couldn't have done anything else.
Yes.
I couldn't even conceptualize it for myself to be able to explain myself because the shame is so overwhelming that you don't have access to the tools or the language to help someone understand that that was the only thing I could have done at the time.
Impossibly the best option for you, as insane as that may sound. When you
Thank
have
you.
really
Yeah.
fucking terrible options,
Truly.
that might be the best one.
My therapist was like, do you know how brave you had to be to do that?
yeah,
I'd love to
exactly.
see that person in that
The
scenario.
judgmental person.
Yeah.
Oh my
And
God.
that just
Yeah, go out
cracked me
there.
open. I was like, really?
Yeah.
You know, I
No.
didn't know.
Yeah.
And that was really helpful in me starting to feel more confident about, I did do that.
Fuck yeah, I did that. I can do whatever needs doing to survive. That's who I am.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I'm
maybe you would have
scrappy.
died out there.
I'm
Maybe
a
you would have
survivor.
stayed with
exactly,
Rudy.
Exactly. Not me. I found my way out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So impressive.
Thanks, Mom.
I
It
have
is. It
chills.
really, really is.
I do think it's relevant to kind of touch down in a few of the places that lead to the peep show in the shitty strip mall, which is at 5, your mother's working at Crazy Girls. She's also driving a limousine and you're living in a storage closet
I think that was probably in San Diego. Oh, no, Crazy Girls is definitely in LA.
and you're going to Laurel Elementary. So it's got to be LA.
Yeah.
Unless you were commuting from San Diego.
Yeah, exactly. I only said because someone reached out to me recently who my mom and I stayed with when my mom was dancing at a place called Nightlife in San Diego. And that's been happening a lot too. Be like, do you remember you used to?
Oh, I bet.
And usually I'm like, but then they send pictures.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, Jesus, you did know me. And that has been the biggest relief or gives me so much reassurance when people that loved my mom reach out to me and go, good job. You got it right. I'm like, oh, thank you, because I'm so afraid of villainizing her. She can be misunderstood very easily. And so it was very important to me to make sure that you love her.
She's complex, just like everyone is.
Yes. And just didn't have the guidance or the tools or anyone taking care of her or helping her. And so, she made a lot of really hard choices.
Somehow she knew 1 million people to call when she was absent that showed up for her. I really related in a lot of ways because my father, who I had the complicated relationship with, I had a hard time making peace with the fact that when he died, there was between 20 and 45 people in the room at all times for 3 months. He had that many friends. That many people loved my dad and looked up to him, and he was a sponsor to all these people in sobriety. That's not the character in my story about him. I have to acknowledge he was lovely if you were friends with him. Might not have been the best person to be your dad, although I'm coming around on that notion as well. But just side note, I always found this weird disjunction between how universally loved my dad was, truly. And yet I had all these issues with him. So I got curious why so many people were willing to do your mom so many favors.
Yeah.
Yet she was hardcore addict, narcissistic a bit,
Sure.
love addict. She's
Big
all the
time.
stuff.
Yeah.
She's all the stuff, which of course I have compassion for as someone who has all the same stuff.
I mean, all of those are trauma responses, right? So how can you not have compassion for him? My goodness, what a mess.
Yeah, some stuff clearly set her on those many
Yeah.
paths. But back to Crazy Girls, you're going to school and your mom, this is a heartbreaking part. I can't decide if it makes me like her or hate her. She's a stripper.
We're not gonna hate her.
No, I know. I'm just being honest about when I'm
It's okay to
reading
be
it.
mad
How
at
I,
her.
Yeah, you can be.
yeah.
We can be mad at her, but I was reading this other memoir and also a very complicated mother-daughter relationship. And she was saying the way she was able to really get past a lot of it, it was seeing that's not her mom. That's a woman on earth.
Yes.
And when you have like that separation, you can really see the trauma and the things that they have been handed. And of course, how could that person possibly have been nurturing or X, Y, and Z to a child? Taking away that it's you who's the child, it's like
Right.
having that distance from it can help.
Well, she wasn't taking care of herself. So, of course, she's not
at
taking
all.
care of anyone else.
Yeah, no.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert. If you
dare. Okay, but she wants you to see her perform.
Yeah.
And this is the element. I'm
Oh,
like,
she's like proud.
Oh, yeah.
she wants you to be proud of her, which is heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking. Yeah.
And I relate to it. As someone who has kids, I almost find myself bragging to them because I want them to like me and think I'm cool and be grateful I'm their dad, right? I police myself against it though. So another part of me is like, no, this is kind of narcissism. Like she needs you.
To tell her how wonderful she is.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think it's both things. Will you tell Monica the bag lady sketch?
Sure. My mom really loved musical theater and musicals, in particular West Side Story. She wanted to be an actress and it didn't really work out. So she would choreograph her own sort of dance numbers sometimes with girls to West Side Story.
Yeah.
And sometimes she would have her own sketches. So one of them, the bag lady sketch, she would burst into the club dressed in rags and just start making a bunch of ruckus.
Knocking shit over.
Knocking shit over and going,
Drinking
what's
out of
this?
people's drinks.
Yeah, take a sip, throwing it. Oh, sizing up someone giving a lap dance. You're cute. What's that? I can do this.
Oh my god.
You know, and everyone being like, what
Like
is
a
going
comedy
on?
routine.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
But people there were actually calling for security to remove the lady.
Well, yeah, the patrons would be very confused.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, of course, the DJ and the girls all know it's Mo. And then eventually she'd be like, let me up there. I can do this. They'd be like,
And the
all
rags
right,
would
let's
come
give her.
off.
And then, you know, it'd be like the ba-da-da-da-da, you know.
Oh,
like-
yes.
And then eventually once enough layers have come off and you see this gorgeous 5'11" blonde bombshell start moving a little bit more sexy.
Less unhoused, more sexy. Yeah.
Yes.
She was playing with
Because
characters.
I see a lot of nudity on the
Yeah.
streets, to be honest.
Me too.
Yeah, I see all
Yeah.
kinds of nudity. It's not always my favorite kind.
But of course, at that point, then little me was taken back into the dressing room so mom could finish her show. Yeah.
But by protective coworkers, not necessarily that your mother figured out how perfectly to shield that part of it.
Maybe my mom was like, bring her back before I become totally naked and
Yeah.
gyrating in someone's face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then Minka falls asleep inside the strip club. And then when she wakes up, she has no clue where she's at. She's on a couch somewhere,
Oh boy.
which is kind of regular, right?
Yeah.
And then she tries to wake her mother up to take her to school. She's a little girl who knows she needs to go to school.
Wants to go to school. It's the only place that feels normal and safe and fun and free. There's good food. There's predictable adults.
This teachers act
Yeah.
pretty much the same all
Yeah.
day. What a mystery.
So nice. Yeah.
What planet are they
Yeah.
from?
I want to go there.
Yeah.
So were
need
you
to go
like
there.
a super good student because of that?
Yes, I really was until I got to high school because I ended up going to high school in a place where it wasn't cool to be a super good student.
Right.
I wanted to fit in with the cool girls. I didn't have the confidence to not need that.
Same. I get it.
There's a line in there early on. Oh, let me just say you wake up in this apartment and she can't get her mom to wake up. And then the dude who the mom's slept with that night has the decency to take you in a cab to school.
Yeah.
Total stranger. You're just with strangers all the time.
Yep.
But you have a line that says, I was an observant child, noting every shift in her, an amateur meteorologist trying to get a bead on the change from high pressure to low. You're living with an addict who's either at a drug-fueled 11, enthusiastic, or coming down or dealing with the wreckage of. There's really probably no zone in between.
High highs and low lows.
Yes,
As high as you go is as low as you go.
Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah.
Yes, learning all of these little spidey senses, as I call them. Man, do you get good at predicting behavior, don't you?
Way too good. You become hypervigilant as an adult, always looking for danger. It gets you in trouble as an adult because you're not really in danger anymore, but you're assuming everyone's going to trick you or lying to you or going to hurt you or abandon you. And so you're looking for signs of it so that you can go, I'll do it first. An example of that, your phone call yesterday.
Yeah, tell me about that.
You were just like, I'm almost finished with it. And I was like, oh, that's okay. We don't have to do this. I'll let
I know
you
that
off
broke
the hook.
my heart after we
for
hung up.
today?
Yeah,
oh
yeah.
my God.
I was like, oh, that's okay. You don't have to read it. And also, if you haven't read it, we don't have to do the thing. We can postpone it. And he was like, what are you talking about? I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm letting you off the hook before you have to ask to be let off the hook. You're free. And I hung up from there. I'm like, Minka, Jesus, relax.
No, I knew all that when I hung up because I just said like, oh my God, I'm halfway through your book. I'm on my way home. I'm going to read the rest of it. But it's so incredible. I just want to tell you how impactful it is. Yeah, and you interpret that as me saying like, we need to postpone or potentially yes. Yes, that was great. 48,
Well, 'cause
42.
you won't be let
42?
down.
Yeah, still doing it.
But at least we're here talking about it and we have the awareness of it, right? So you can go, I'm doing that thing.
Yeah. Okay, so tell me about dad and then tell me about stepdad.
Okay.
Mom and dad met
Mom was a model. He was a musician in LA.
late 70s.
She's gorgeous. He's gorgeous. It's fun. And they hook up.
He's originally from France.
He was born in Paris. Yeah.
And he's a guitarist. And the second your mother becomes pregnant, he also gets his dream job of joining Aerosmith.
I think he was already in Aerosmith, but I know when I was born, he was on the road with Aerosmith. There was a period of time too that we went on the road with him. Anyway, so she gets pregnant and she tells him and he wants her to have an abortion. And she's like, it's okay. I'm going to have her, but I don't need anything from you. I don't want anything from you. I'm just letting you know my mom and I will raise her because she had already had abortions before that and she didn't want to do it again. She felt good about this one. And then when my mom was pregnant with me, her mom died.
Oh.
And that was her best friend. And so, of course, a huge trauma that's going to inform how she makes choices moving forward. I think when I was 2, my mom took me to meet my dad. And I had already had David dad.
And David is a very tall, jet black hair Mexican man who believes he's Cherokee or some kind
And
of...
he is.
He is.
You know,
I thought his mom said,
well,
you're not.
Yes, I think, but you know.
We have a friend like that.
Yeah. We have a friend who claims to be Cherokee and then did a 23andMe test and is 100% not native in any way, but
That's
can't accept
so
it.
funny. I mean, he had such a deep love and respect for the native culture and is beautiful. There probably is some truth to that. And so she met him while she was pregnant and he just took on the father role. And what a beautiful thing. And his family embraced us and they were my family.
Eventually.
Yeah.
But the period in LA, he is mercurial.
Oh, yeah.
Let's just say he's a mensch. He wants to be your dad.
Mm-hmm.
You call him dad. That's great. He's also violent.
Yes.
He also parties, not as hard as your mom, perhaps.
He keeps it together a little better. He's throwing the party. She's enjoying the party.
Right.
Yes. He's controlling. And herein lies this. Well, look, a lot of people can deal with it. Loving someone who is all the things. Your oppressor, your cheerleader, your only source of love, a lot of your source of your pain. And learning to constantly forgive.
Or normalize.
Pretending shit doesn't happen. Pretending you're not affected by it. Letting them off the hook. So here was my curiosity. After learning about your relationship with David. When men are addicts and they're occasionally violent or they have tempers, there's the horror and then there's the winning you back. And the winning you back is very powerful. You get an 11 of somebody, whereas a normal kid with a normal parent, my kids get a range from me of 5 to 8, right? I'm not winning them back, nor am I screaming at them or hitting them. So I can live in this pocket. But that becomes part of a pattern that can be really addictive.
I was just going to say that there is born the addiction to that high.
Yes, and I wondered if having him as a dad has fucked you up with men.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
Yeah. How could it not?
Absolutely. So I become attracted to the push-pull,
Mm-hmm.
the hot cold. I have to conquer the unconquerable. I have to perform and be good to earn love. Because just being me is not enough. I have to show you how domesticated I can be, how much I can take care of you, how much I can make a home, what a nurse I can be.
You're not only mothering yourself, but you're also wifing him.
Oh, mothering myself, that I'm just now learning.
Yeah, so you're your
I'm
own
mothering
mother,
everyone else.
But you're also performing your mother's duties with your stepdad in that you're cleaning the house.
Oh, yeah.
There's a whole system by which you got to do it or he flies off the handle.
I better not wake them up because they partied late last night. So you don't turn on the vacuum in the morning.
Oh, God.
Oh, do
That
you?
you learned the hard
You
way.
sweep the rug.
Oh,
You got to sweep
You
it.
sweep it. Like,
And you get good at it and you get proud of yourself.
Yes.
It reminded me so much of going to my dad's on the weekends because those were the hours, like opposite of banker's hours. We're out till 3 a.m. at a bar, even though we're kids. And then we're at home. We're indulging. We're ordering from this pizza place. What do you want? Spoiling us because of the guilt that this is our weekend with him. Bravo's Pizza. What? I can get everything. I'm loving it. And then, the next day is now a totally different version of dad. But I knew, he'll be in a much better mood if I empty all these ashtrays, if I clean up all these beer cans, if I do all the dishes. Like if I can make this place perfect, he'll start the day in a much better and more predictable place.
Yes. You're altering your truth and your behavior to control and alter theirs. This just becomes a life of constant manipulation because
trying to Svengali this force that's bigger than you.
Yeah, just trying to create a reality that isn't real because you're modifying whatever way you would behave in order to get the reaction from them that you want, which is just to be safe or to be loved.
Right. Your safety is dependent on their mood, which is why obviously as you get older, you develop codependent tendencies because they were born out of total survival.
Exactly. It's you before me at all costs.
Yeah.
If you're okay, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Whatever you need to be happy and comfortable, I will do regardless of whatever. So that's why in your 30s, when someone asks you, what do you want? You're like, I don't know. I want whatever you want. You're like, no. And that took a long time to undo.
Shania Twain has a similar, have you heard her story?
Love her and her story, yeah. Yeah,
You
her
should
and
listen
Jane
to her
Fonda.
episode.
I did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. And Jane Fonda.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
What a gangster.
Yeah, we all have a crush on Jane Fonda. I love listening to her talk about her relationships. I'm like, oh, yes. And it's listening to women like that. You're like, oh, good. I'm not alone. I'm not broken and we're okay. It's okay. You don't have to be shameful about it. In fact, we have to share these stories so that other people can feel okay and know that they're not broken. I remember I'd say to my therapist, I think I'm broken. And he'd be like, you're not broken. You just need a little sunshine and a little water poured on you. You're not broken. You don't need to be fixed.
This is Dr. what?
Krausman.
I love how you said Dr. Krausman. I refuse to call mine doctor.
Yeah, I like it.
You like it.
Yeah, I like what
separation.
I like what it creates. I like the boundary it creates. I like the respect that it creates. Otherwise, it would be too personal. And he's the first real therapist that affected any kind of change in my life. And I remember when I first started seeing him, I was like, wow, he gets me. Wow, this is a man who understands.
Yes.
Am I in love with my therapist?
Of course.
He simplifies such complex things.
I'm in love with mine because I actually trust him and I think it might be the only man I've ever trusted.
Likewise, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh my God.
Will you trust Larry Trilling?
Oh, I do. Implicitly. Let my kids be raised by him if it were necessary. Okay, I just want to add a couple things. Then I want to go to New Mexico because that's a big chapter and a big change. But, over the course of Minka's time in LA, you're left alone in a pool on a floaty. You fall in, you're drowning.
Oh, God.
Your mother has
few
left.
Times.
Yeah. Everyone was partying and then everyone left and you're drowning. And then she loves telling the story because she saved you. Forget the part that she neglected you and you shouldn't have. Yes. Oh.
She remembered and ran over or something?
Oh, yeah, she was left. She'd be like, I jumped from the shallow end all the way to the deep end, fully clothed. And I grabbed her out of there. And you're like, what was I doing at the bottom of the pool?
Yes. Oh, God.
And then she was so proud that I went right back in.
Oh, it's a great story for her. Yeah. Oh, my God. That's a unique experience listening to someone tell a story where they're a hero after they've basically fucked you over. I know it well.
Yeah.
So, that happened. Her babysitter OD'd. They never had a place to live. They were bouncing around between all their friends.
OD'd while you were there?
Yeah. So when you talk about my mom always had someone there to take care of me, I think she probably used a little less
scrutiny,
discretion.
Discretion.
Yeah.
Then you might have someone wash your car.
It was like, oh, you will? Okay, great.
Closest
there wasn't
warm
a lot of
body.
discernment.
And you're alive?
Yeah,
Would you describe yourself as alive? Then yes, you've got
You'll
the
just
job.
watch her. That's all you need to do is just watch.
Yeah.
I don't even do that sometimes. And then I get to save her.
So my dad is the one who told me when they came back, there was an ambulance outside and she had OD'd while I was in her care. And so it came back to me just looking at her, not knowing what to do about it.
Now, that's a part that's not really even explored in the book. And you may not have any memory of that.
I don't.
But, right.
I only know it because my dad.
Right. Certainly, you were a little kid. You had to have been trying to get the person
I'm
to
sure.
wake
Which
up.
is probably why it's blocked out.
Yeah.
Because that is so terrifying to
traumatic.
think that this woman is dead or whatever might be
You're
coming
already
out of her
scared
mouth.
because no one you know's around.
Yeah.
And now the
Oh,
stranger you're
yeah.
with has
Yeah.
seemingly died. You moved from a storage room to a garage.
Yeah.
The craziest part to me is your mother took a job, or so she told you. She was taking a job in the Philippines out of nowhere and that she'd be gone for 6 weeks, and she was fucking gone for a year. That's 5th grade, 6th grade.
Something around there, yeah.
Oh, and she lived with one woman who was kind of nice to her, but then of course she had to get out of there. She ends up with some family. You don't even know how it's connected to your mom. There's 2 older sisters. One wants to beat your ass every day. That whole scene, I was like, oh my God. And I love my brother, don't get me wrong, but he's 5 years older than me. And shit rolls downhill. And he had the same stepdads I had. You beat the chick up at high school after you got your ass beat.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, yes. And you have to participate. You can't not participate in these fights. I don't know how they get you there, but you're going to fight them and you're going to lose.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
Yeah.
And we're going to do it every day. Just to know that, yeah, once a day, I'm going to absolutely be humiliated. Someone's going to spit on my
And you're
face
not
and sit
going
on
to
my
tell.
chest.
You can't
Yes.
tell because you'll just make life worse.
He might kill you next
Yeah.
time if you tell,
Yeah.
or she might kill you.
Exactly.
So your mom kind of set you up with her friend to live with.
My mom left me with her friend. It was supposed to be X amount of time, and then that time came up, and then maybe my dad would, but he couldn't pick me up. So then they found this other woman who had 2 kids.
Yeah.
This would be a great place, and then so she took me in.
The abandonment, it just never goes away.
Well, yeah. So hence the you're gonna leave at any moment.
Yeah.
At one point, she was at David's house, the stepdad, while the mom was gone, and she heard thumping, 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 thumping. And she finally got up and walked around the corner, and he was choking a woman against the wall and slamming her head into the wall and breaking the drywall.
It's so wild hearing it out loud like
From
that.
somebody else, I bet.
Yeah, you're like, God, that sounds so bad, but okay, yeah, that is true. It is true. When it's in your head, it's your experience and you've normalized it.
You say it in the book, and it's the truest thing ever. It's the only normal you've known. Relative to what? You have no clue. You're getting some hints that your friends or people around you
Yeah.
seem to have it a little better, but again, you've not known any other.
Yeah.
And you come to expect all things, to be honest. These kind of things can only happen to you so many times before, and that's the hypervigilance. You know it's coming.
Yes.
You're not even shocked when you come around the corner and someone's getting fucking murdered in front of your face. Yeah, I guess. My babysitter OD'd a couple years ago, and I've been getting my ass beat.
That's why high stakes become where you're like, yeah, and okay. I know
What are we
exactly
doing? We
what to
cleaning
do.
this up?
Exactly.
You're going to be embarrassed as fuck after this is over. How am I going to mitigate that? Your embarrassment so you don't take it out on me.
Yeah. You know, your grandfather's dying and vomiting and you're, I don't know how old I was, like a child still, and I'm scooping vomit out of his mouth. Like it's no big deal.
Right.
Okay,
right.
this is just what you do.
You pointed out a bunch. You become a master of disassociation. You can just walk through anything at some point. And the more you do it, the quicker you can get there.
And I only recently learned I was still doing that in my adult life. When I get overwhelmed, I just disappear. I was in a relationship where he pointed out, he'd be like, Minka, are you okay? And I'd be like, yeah, why? What's wrong? He'd be like, you just disappear. In one of my therapies, I remember in the middle of a session, I was laying down and he asked me something about like, how do you feel? I'm like, I feel like my feet are floating. And he was like, okay, can you sit up for me? And I was like, okay. And he's like, name 3 things in the room that are round and 3 things in the room that are green. And I was like, what are we doing? And he's like, you're relieving your body. Do you know that you do that? And I was like, oh my God, is that what that was? And he brought me back to the present space.
Huh.
Yeah, I was like, 3 things that are green on that thing.
Yeah.
So I was like, is this what I've been doing? That's what happens when people ask me where I went. I just space out. I go away.
Oh, this is a fun thing. Let me lift it up for 1 second because I couldn't believe I read this
Isn't this all
sentence.
fun?
I love it, actually.
Yeah, I do.
It's fascinating.
No, my wife will always say this, like if we're on a vacation and she walks away to get a drink, when she comes back and I'm talking to a stranger on a lawn chair, she's like, you will certainly be in their childhood trauma within the 4 minutes
yes.
I left. I actually live for it.
I do too. Talk to me about all the ways you've been hurt, all the ways you're working
Yes.
on healing that hurt.
Yeah.
Tell me the most embarrassing thing. let's get into it.
It's the only thing that interests me, to be honest. And sex, I hate to say, that we earmark that.
Okay.
Yes, that's what's coming back.
Yeah. Okay.
But really quick, there was a point where you knew the daughter of the New York Seltzer
Yes.
water family. I'm obsessed with this clip from Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. Have you seen that?
Of course I have.
You
Yes.
know about
because
that.
I also was like, am I making this up?
No. If you would
And
have
we
gone
found
into
that
even
when I was
further
writing it.
detail,
Yeah.
it would have been completely unbelievable because this person's life was completely unbelievable.
I know.
And we have a good friend, Courtney, whose father was the CMO of that company.
Okay.
And was kind of trying to manage the dad and the son.
Oh,
I imagine you
wow.
were with the son because the son had all the wild animals. He had a bunch of
Yes.
big cats.
Yes, exactly.
And in this
In the
Lifestyles of the Rich and
house. It
Famous.
was part of the house.
Crazy.
And he was
you could
building
play
a
with
water
them.
slide
Oh.
all the way down to the valley from the top of the Hollywood Hills.
Oh my God.
And he would just come to work with a fucking panther on a leash and everyone just have to deal with it. Like, talk about
Yes.
trauma. Yeah, my boss has this wild animal.
Yeah.
That's what's interesting about your story is like you're in a broom closet and then you're in a mansion and then you're in this apartment and then you're with the New York Seltzer. And it's like, holy smokes, you're seeing every
All
single
over the place.
angle of LA. Okay. That one made me scream out loud. When your mom returns from the quote Philippines, who really knows? You have some idea of where she might have been for a year. You heard maybe she was arrested.
Yeah, she was.
She
I don't know if that
was.
was the time specifically, but there was a time
There was some
she
drug
was gone that-
transportation,
Yes,
perhaps for David, that perhaps landed her in jail.
Yeah.
Now, you moved to New Mexico, which of course you don't want to do. Mom's completely out of options, which is crazy. It's hard to predict when your mom's going to finally acknowledge she's out of options. Like when I'm reading the story, when does she decide, yes, let's fucking get out of here and drive to New Mexico? But when you get there, you are embraced by your stepdad, David's family. And this becomes an enormous blessing.
Absolutely.
And they're as traditional as possible. And your grandpa is supporting all these people. He's a preacher. He's a good man. And now you start, or at least from the book, I gather, you're starting to finally craft your identity. It seems like here's where you're going to decide who you are.
Or adapt to my surroundings. We're a product of our surroundings. And so you just start blending in and sounding like and dressing like and looking like so that you can be accepted and fit in. So then this started happening. I started talking like this.
Yeah.
And I started looking a certain
no
type
eyebrows.
of way.
You
No
painted your eyebrows
eyebrows.
on.
You know, it's so funny. I love how the cat eye is so fashionable now.
Yeah, it's
that
back.
used to be how I made myself look tough.
Oh, wow.
And now it's high fashion. You're like, man.
I beg you to send me some pictures
Oh, yeah.
of that period.
There's some in the book.
Oh, I'm reading it digitally.
The hard copy book comes with photos. I can show you.
Okay,
I'll show
I'm
you.
dying to see that.
I'll show you.
But you land in a predominantly is not a strong enough word. You're in a Native American and Latino area. You're one of the only Caucasoids there.
Yes.
And you have blonde hair at that
Yeah,
point,
yeah.
which everyone should know. So you stick out like a fucking turd in a punch bowl
Mm-hmm.
and you're a target. But simultaneously, you now have cousins.
Yes, thankfully that are all Mexican. And I have a family.
Yeah.
And you protect your
first
family.
time.
And I was protected by having that last name. In middle school, it was tough. It was when I first got there. So I also showed up wearing my mom's clothes. Not okay. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a target for all the things.
Yeah.
By the time you get to high school, you're like, this is not happening anymore. And so you make friends with the tough girls and you learn how to be tough. And I went to like 3 different high schools. Then I find Angel, who comes from a family of kickboxers. And so I'm like, that should be my best friend. She'll teach me how to fight. And also, she's really good at school. She also is independent
She has conviction about who she is.
because she has such a strong family that she just didn't need approval of anyone else. And I really admired that and I wanted a piece of that.
Yeah. I really don't want to talk about the next part, but you take your mother's car while she's passed out, as you do many mornings, because she
Every
doesn't wake up
morning.
till whenever she
2
wakes up.
p.m. when I'm home from school, yeah.
So you would take your mom's car,
Yeah, I would go pick up my friends so that I didn't have to walk to school by myself.
and your mother caught you.
One morning, she was still awake. I went to put the keys back and she was standing there with her hand out. I went, fuck. When you don't have the tools because you're in such fear to go, there's a reason for this.
Yeah.
Right.
I can't walk to school by myself. I need to have someone to walk to school with. use the car to pick her up, and then we walk to school together. It's not a joyride, but you're just so crippled and paralyzed with fear. She called my dad, David, to come and discipline me.
And he beat the fuck out of you.
Yeah.
Really
yeah.
bad.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, buddy,
And
I'm so sorry.
It's
to hear
okay, it's
that.
okay.
No, it's not okay.
It's not okay.
He was hitting you with a cord.
Yeah.
And really bad.
Did he beat your mom as well?
He did. His answer to anything was violence.
Yeah.
And I can even feel sorry for him. Oh, God, that was the tools you had. You didn't know how to communicate, connect. You just knew violence. And, my mom immediately regretted it when she saw how bad it was getting. And there was no going back once the beast has been unleashed. And that hurts me more than it hurts you, kind of thing. Yeah.
She said that?
No, he did afterwards.
Oh,
And
Come
I
here,
do this
give me a
because I
hug.
love you.
no. Give me a hug.
Come here, give me a hug. And you're like, yeah.
This peculiar thing happens, and I think if you're on the outside of all of it, it just looks like stupidity. But I'll say when you live in fear of violence like that, and then you get to an age where you realize the painful thing's the fear, I don't think people that don't relate can relate to how liberating it is to go, you know what? I don't give a fuck if I get hurt. I'm punching back. That is the biggest breakthrough in my life. As shitty and lowbrow and primitive that is, to make a decision, I'm not going to be afraid of getting hurt anymore. I don't care about getting hurt. I'm going to hurt back. To me, was like maybe the biggest dose of freedom I've ever experienced. On the outside, it's like violence isn't the answer. If your whole life is living in fear of violence and you can transcend that and not be afraid of that, that is the phoenix, which is twisted, and then you're perpetuating it yourself and you're caught in the whole thing.
Hurt people, right?
Yes.
Also, that was what I was taught, was violence is the answer. And so I also started moving through school with fighting will be the answer to you bumping into me, disrespecting me, God forbid.
Yeah.
That's why I love the book, What Happened to You. It's not what's wrong with you. It's what happened to you. And so that is helpful. And even the people that hurt you going, oh, okay, what happened to you?
I mean, when you get older and you look back, you realize all the players in this sad game are all victims. It's all rolling downhill.
Yeah.
So the day after you get beat by him, you beat up a girl pretty bad in school.
The same day.
Some of my shame is there was a period I was a bully. I hate that, but it's true. In elementary, it was like between the brother and the dad. When I got there and I actually had power, I couldn't resist that.
Yeah, you got to get it out somehow.
Yeah. And then you got thrown out of school over that, or at least you had to probably leave school over that. And then you start yet another high school. Now you're old enough to have boyfriends. And of course you pick really great boyfriends.
I wasn't allowed to have boyfriends, but at a time where my mom and dad were leaving to Boston tomorrow, it was, I don't want to go with you. I want to graduate high school with people that I know. My boyfriend, his dad said I can stay with them. And my dad goes, okay, I think that's a good idea. I'll talk to your mom. Not, who is this person?
Yeah.
Let me meet them.
How long have you guys been an item?
Yeah, where did this person come from? It's, oh, you have a boyfriend and his dad will take you? Great.
Perfect. We're racing out of New Mexico because we think we're about to be arrested and we're going to go hang in Boston.
I don't know what the actual truth was. All I know is a girl at school came to me and said, I'm not supposed to tell you this, but your dad's about to be in big trouble. And so I went home and I said to my mom, my friend at school said dad's about to be in big trouble. Her dad's a private investigator.
Oh.
And she laughed it off. And then the next day or so, I came home from school. The house was packed in boxes.
Wow.
And she said, we're moving to Boston. And I said, I can't move to Boston.
Right.
I've already gone to so many schools. Please let me just graduate from this school. I need to graduate. We'll go to school in Boston. Where?
So the boyfriend's dad was nice and the boyfriend was not nice. And he was 22 and you were 16 and the whole thing is rough.
His dad was amazing.
But you recognize this dude, Rudy, is bad. I have to get away from him. I have to get out of this. He's super controlling. He got rid of all of her friends. It's all the textbook shit. It's like everything you fucking read about.
He would go out partying and then call at 2:00 in the morning for me to come pick him up because he's too drunk to drive. So I would have to steal his dad's car to go pick him up. I'd be like, I have school in the morning. And then he'd be like, I'll just have one of these other girls. I wasn't allowed to answer the phone because who knows who'd be calling for him.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah, he was hooking up with other people, of
Sure.
course. He wanted her to be some weird sexual object.
But again, you're used to controlling men, so
Yeah.
why wouldn't he be doing all this? And,
Whatever it takes to keep yourself safe.
Yeah.
And he's got to win you back a lot, I'm sure.
No one can ease that pain more so than the one who inflicted it.
And that leads us to the peep show, because that becomes how you're going to get out of your boyfriend's house while
Yeah.
your parents have left Boston, and you do it. You get your own apartment at 18, and it's your own spot, and you get your own furniture.
Yeah, from
You
rent
get
to center.
TV and a VCR.
I thought it was so cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
Yeah.
Most 18-year-olds
love it.
can't do that.
You have the entertainment center. Yes, I had one
I
too.
loved
Still
the
don't have
entertainment
one.
center so much. So cool.
You get these glimpses when you're that age, or I would, where it's like, oh, wait, I'm about to be in charge of everything.
Yeah.
I'm going to be deciding what happens next.
Everything will be the way I left it every time I leave the house.
And if I clean it, it'll stay clean.
Yes.
Yes, I'm a clean freak too.
Yes.
All those things.
Yes.
Oh, I so relate. Okay, here's my question about the peep show. You describe it wonderfully. It's like you're seeing dudes
Jerk off.
Yeah, how did...
at their
sorry.
jerking
does
off, but it's beyond that, I want to say. A panel going up and catching a man already in that crazy, primitive, fucked up
In another planet.
predator. It's weird. I'm reading that and I'm watching this chimp show, Chimp Empire, on Netflix, which is incredible. It's all chimpanzees.
Cool.
And I'm like reading those scenes and I'm thinking about what I'm observing with the chimps. And it's like, yeah, we're fucking chimps. There's a side of us that's just,
Primal.
yeah.
How do they work? Sorry, that's
Yeah,
such a
let's do it.
stupid question.
No, it's not. You know
Well,
there's no such
I
thing as
mean,
a stupid
I
question.
feel silly for not knowing.
I'm glad you don't know.
I mean, yeah.
What a dork. You've never been to a
I am
peep
a
show?
dork. I know, prude.
Oh, goody goodies.
Good. Here she is, the goody goody. Yeah. How do they work?
So you go into an adult video store and sometimes there's an arcade, but that's where you can go in to watch videos. And then beyond that will be an area where there are live dancers.
Okay.
And so you go into a private booth with a big glass wall in front of you and you put a token in and the divider comes up.
Oh, got it.
And then there will be a girl back there. And based on however many dollars you put in her slot, she will dance for you and take her clothes off.
Your coworker is doing a full sex show and
Some
Yeah.
of them
Very performative.
do. Yeah.
They're jerking off, but it's glass, so you can see.
You can see everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
because
And,
you got to interact with them to
Oh.
coax the tips out of them.
and it's very intimate. I thought, I'm not doing what my mom did. This is different. Because there's glass between us. There's no contact. Can't talk to you. But what you are doing is eye contact.
Looking into the eyes of
of
that
someone
black
who just
hole
yes,
of insatiable carnal.
yeah, and their pants are down.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
And it took me a long time to be comfortable with a man's body.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
I'm like reading that and I'm thinking of, well, numerous people we've interviewed. There's so many routes to this. There's been the actors that were over sexualized as young girls and that steals them of their sexuality. We've had every version, right? Where someone's sexuality is basically stolen from them. And I was reading that thinking, and some level that had to have really fucked your view. I mean, you're seeing the worst 10 minutes of each man's life over and over and over again for 6 months. Do you think it permanently altered your view?
Permanently, no. But it did take me a long time to be not attracted, but comfortable with looking at my boyfriend's body and not seeing it that way. Now that's totally gone. I couldn't love it more. Thank goodness. I have a very healthy relationship to that now. But I do remember having a boyfriend. He didn't know he was being so patient and so wonderful with me in that way. He didn't know I was working through that. But because he was just so maybe old-fashioned
Chivalrous.
and not totally sexualized, that
Yeah.
I was able to go at my own pace and get comfortable around that.
And you're so honest about repeatedly saying you were conditioned and rose to the occasion that your total identity and your worth is whatever a man can give you. how did you say it? I don't want to misrepresent, but you acknowledge this pattern that just got kind of thrown on you. Your currency and your value is your beauty and your sexuality. And I wonder, so again, back to like me meeting you on Parenthood and judging a book by its cover and having real no idea. I wouldn't have behaved any differently.
You were awesome, by the way. I remember you making me feel so safe. You just made me feel like I belonged there. And that meant so much to me because I respected you so much. You know, I had a hard time on Friday Night Lights. So it felt like a new start. Now I'm doing it. That was surviving. This is, I'm an actress.
Yeah.
I'm an actress. I don't even think on Friday Night Lights did I ever feel comfortable calling myself an actress.
Really?
Okay, well, here's now, I'm just remembering this. This might be a weird thing that I did detect that maybe I didn't know I detected. But I remember when we had our sex scene, I was like, I'm going to stare you directly in the eyes and I'm going to let you know I'm not looking at anything. I do remember that. And I don't know that I've always had that clear of a objective. So I don't know what that was about. But just I remember going, you're going to be right here and you're going to make sure she knows you're right there.
Well, that's what
you're
the Peep Show guys were doing.
No, they were.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. You're just like those
very
guys.
different look
I'm
in the eye.
kidding. I'm totally kidding.
I had a hunch you've probably been treated like a sexual object a lot, and I want to make sure I'm not doing
And
that.
I remember feeling very confident, and that's why. Because you were such a caretaker, and you made me feel so safe.
Oh, wonderful.
That I was just finding my feet. And those experiences just gave me so much confidence. Everyone just made me feel like I deserved to be there.
You're so good on the show. Like
Yeah,
now
you
watching
really
it again,
are.
you're phenomenal. You're so good. Your scenes are so great.
So
You had to play so many
natural.
crazy different things. Like you'd bump into Adam somewhere and he'd be drunk. You had to take me somewhere and I got beat up and then I got to apologize and then I'm asking you advice and it's like you're just bouncing back and forth between like very in control of Max. You had this confidence that was really great. You're just so great in it.
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah. You're
So
really good.
is it hard for you to hear when you first came in and you were like, Monica loves Lila? Is that a hard compliment for you to take if it was a hardworking experience?
That's a good question. Not at all.
Okay, that's good.
Because it was a unique time. It's complex, right? Because my mom's dying of cancer and also this thing is happening. And also I'm coming from having been cheated on and broken heart to now being fed this
Swept up
candy.
in Taylor Kitsch's unbelievable face and body. Oh my God.
It was hard in the sense that I just didn't have the tools to know what I was doing. I was in way over my head and I was so
Yeah.
green. I also didn't know how to be a friend to women yet. So I just thought it should happen naturally. I thought I can just give all my time and attention to this boy and girls will still be there.
Right.
And no.
Yeah, you bailed on friends repeatedly for boys, just like your
Yeah,
mom had bailed on.
absolutely.
Yeah. But what I was going to ask you is, given that history, when I met you, you had just been named sexiest woman alive.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, really, just
Yeah.
like that happened while we were shooting. So, given your past, I imagine people on the outside would be like, oh my God, can you imagine being named sexiest woman alive? That must feel incredible. And I imagine it was maybe more complicated for you. Was that complicated or was that fine?
It's interesting because I really was afraid to be sexy.
Yeah, it was dangerous.
My publicist and I made a very strong stance against doing sexy things. Like, I never did Maxim. We were very calculated in any other times I would do a men's magazine or do anything sexy at all. It
Yeah.
was very much something I didn't want to do. And it was also me insisting on I can do it without using my body the way my mom did. Everything was just such a reaction to that. So that one, you know, everyone was like, we should accept this. This is like very elegant,
Yeah,
sexy.
yeah.
If we're going to do it, let's do this.
Yes.
Even on that, I was terrified. The photographer, Yutsai, was amazing. I didn't know how to be sexy.
Right.
He would go, breathe in and drag your hand up and then exhale. He would do it first. And I go, okay. And then he'd get the shot.
Yeah.
Every pose.
It kind of
he
worked.
would
Did you
do
see
it.
there was a moment where I saw
Yeah,
it?
you
it
looked
totally
very
worked.
sexy.
And that's all Yutsai. And I've used that for the rest of my life. Like, if I
Yeah.
just breathe, that will give something. He just made me feel so safe because I didn't do anything he didn't do first.
Uh-huh.
And so it was fun.
Yeah.
When you were doing the Peep Show, my assumption is you didn't feel sexy. Or did you feel sexy doing that?
I think I did act sexy.
Right.
Because I saw my mom be sexy and I'm wearing my mom's costumes.
Yeah.
That are sexy. And so I would perform sexy.
Yes. You knew the moves.
Yeah. I sexualized myself then, which is why when it came to not being in survival mode anymore, it was the opposite of sexy is what I would do.
Yeah. Interesting.
I remember every once in a while I'd wear a sexy dress to an event and my agent being like, Minka, more of this. And I'm like, okay, fittings are always hard. I'm like, oh, it's too body conscious. My body is too much. It's always been a constant struggle with embracing that part of me.
Yeah.
Well, I got another fun one. Like the New York seltzer water. I'm going to read this out loud, and Monica, you're going to shit your pants. Okay? Get ready to shit your pants.
Ben and Matt?
Once we had to amputate the gangrened foot of a houseless man, and I held one end of the saw as the surgeon and I dutifully severed the part of him that would have eventually killed him if left intact. Minka has sawed a man's foot off.
Wow.
Yeah, I sure did.
Wow.
You will do what needs doing,
Yeah,
sister.
that's tough.
Sawed his
If I
foot
ever
off.
murder someone and I need to cut that body up and get rid of the parts,
Oh, yeah,
and you
you're a
feel
good
it's
person to
justified,
call.
like I'll make the case.
Okay.
It was me or him.
Well, listen, I am very ride or die. I will bury the body and no one will ever know.
Wow. Wait, that was in nursing, I
Yes, I
assume?
was,
Okay.
I was a scrub nurse.
Wasn't
yes.
just like
So
out on the
I've
street.
also held several feet of colon in my hand. I've also been a part of a craniotomy, C-section, any surgery you can imagine except for open heart I've participated in.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you ever have any fantasies of returning to that? I mean,
All the time.
it'd be so distracting, but it'd be great.
I miss it all the time. Anytime I'm in a hospital, I feel so comfortable. I love it so much. I miss it so much. I watch everything and I long to do it.
Is there a version where you could do it like 4 days a month?
You know, my first hiatus from Friday Night Lights, I was like, I'm going back. And I did. And then I was swiftly reminded how hard it is and how mean surgeons can be. And I was like, fuck this, I don't need this. I'm an actress.
I'm a Hollywood actress.
It's hard, but I'm so good at it. I loved the highest stakes, which is in the hospital, like California Hospital downtown. The higher the stakes, the more enjoyable for me. And so working at an outpatient surgery center where it's elective surgeries is not really high stakes, but I had to do that so that I could have the rest of my days to go on auditions or classes or anything. But I think about it all the time, and I think sometimes I don't need this shit. I can go be a nurse. I can go back to the hospital all the time. And it's good to have because I can remind myself I am good at something.
You have a skill.
Yeah.
You have a
Because
marketable
our
skill.
job, I'm constantly reminded that I'm not enough or I'm not good enough. But that's also where I'm comfortable is always trying to be better and always working at being better. But I do think it's really useful to know that you have something that you are very good at.
Yes. Well, listen, just insanely beautiful book. I want everyone to read it because I'm a very slow reader and I only listen to books on tape. I read nearly the entire book in one day, which is so rare for me. I can't do that just because we're friends. I'd run out of gas at probably 40 pages if we're just friends. It's a really, really, really touching and beautiful book, and I liked it so much, and I'm really, really proud of you for having written it.
Thank you, Dad.
Yeah. I think so many people will read it and feel very seen and less alone. And you modeled some incredible stuff. Oh, I had one last question. How the fuck are you not an addict, or are you an addict?
Isn't that amazing?
You have two parents.
I know.
Because your dad, who you adore, you had an evolving relationship with. We left that out. But Rick,
Yeah.
he was an addict and clearly got his shit together.
I thought he was, but when I talk to him now, he's like, no, I wasn't an addict.
I just partied.
Yeah, I stopped when I wanted to stop. But he was very much in the program.
Oh, he was? Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
and he sponsored lots of men. That was his thing. He loves helping other men. He loves men, and he has his men's meetings.
I bet I've met him.
I wonder.
I certainly have in 20 years of
Yeah,
going to meetings
right?
around the city.
I remember going with him to meetings when I was little. My mom would send me to him for the weekend or something. He would
Yeah.
take me with him to a meeting, and I remember asking him, "Can you bring Mom here?" And him being like, "She won't do it, kiddo." Yeah.
Can't really
Is
bring
he
people
alive
here.
still?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Has he read the book?
He hasn't finished it. It's hard for him now.
Of course. I
Yeah.
can only imagine him reading this book.
Yeah, but he's so proud of me. And we have a good thing now. We're buddies with boundaries.
Yep.
because it's tough. There's always things to work through, but we've found a good groove where we know how much time we can spend together.
Before it sours.
Yeah.
That becomes an art form.
It's beautiful too when you learn how to
Yes.
do it. And also, I spent so much time in friction with him because I really just wanted, again, for him to be the dad that I wanted him to be, as opposed to accepting him for who he is. And the friction comes when you want a different reality.
Yes.
And so when you accept what actually is, the friction sort of goes away and you can not take everything so personally and you can just go, he's not going to change.
Yeah.
And the way you see the world and the way you operate in the world is very different, but it's okay. And it's not a reflection of you. And you're just two different people.
There's a great saying in AA, which is expectations are resentments under construction.
Ooh, I like that.
So yeah, if you have the expectations of what you want this person to be, really good chance, high 90s, you're going to end up with a resentment at some point.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, so you're not an addict?
Oh, yeah. When I go to Al-Anon meetings and I hear about love addiction, I've been like, I wonder if I need to go to
SLA.
Yes.
Sex and Love Addicts
Sex and Love
Anonymous.
Addicts Anonymous.
Yeah.
I've worked through a lot of that. I'm still obviously working through these things every day.
I say this with compassion and understanding. I bet it's really hard for you to be attracted to a good man. I bet it seems really boring.
It has been, yes.
Yeah.
So I'll respond to both of them about being an addict. I've never seen drugs or partying as sexy because I grew up around it. And so it was always gross to me because my mom was always high and smelled like cigarettes and booze, and it took her away from me. So there was nothing attractive about it to me. I remember I had a boyfriend who loved cocaine. And
it's so good. I can see why he did.
Well, yeah. But I remember being angry about it. And then I finally did try it because I'm like, let me see what this thing is about. And I loved it.
Oh, you
yeah,
did.
it's wonderful.
I was like, I get it. This is amazing.
Yeah. I'm
And
optimistic.
This is making me a better version of myself.
yes.
Meanwhile, the reality is probably very much not that.
Yeah.
Then I tried it another time and I hated it so much. I hated not having control of myself. I never did it again. It's just not for me. And I think it's because I have such a deep fear of losing control or becoming an addict or being like my mom. But my dad wasn't necessarily an addict because he was like, no, I chose to stop when I wanted to stop.
But very weird he's in the program.
But
and
very
he's not,
weird he's in the
and he sponsors
program.
dudes.
Yeah, and he sponsors
he's an
guys.
addict. I don't know why he's telling you he's
I
not,
know.
but whatever.
I
That's
know.
fine. We're not supposed to take other people's inventory. I'm not going to tell you he's an addict. Yeah.
I know. Isn't that
He's not.
interesting?
He's not in Overeaters Anonymous. You're not accidentally in one of these groups. People will come to me and they're like, I don't really know if I belong here. I'm like, have you ever stopped by an Overeaters? No, of course not. 'Cause you know you don't have that.
I love that.
Are you ever at a Gambling Anonymous meeting? No, because you don't gamble.
Right. Well, and these programs are amazing. I mean, I love the beverage program, and then the Al-Anon is the thinking program. And again, it's just evidence of how important it is for us to share stories, because those rooms are where I felt seen too, because there was codependence everywhere.
Yeah.
You're the caretaker of the addict. And so, of course, as an adult, you're going to be the caretaker of another narcissist. I didn't intend to write a book that people would feel seen. I'm so thankful that that's the byproduct of what has happened, you know, and I didn't intend for it to be so therapy involved.
Therapeutic? Cathartic?
Well, I didn't mean
Therapy
to.
heavy.
Therapy
Like,
heavy,
yeah.
thank you. But because I was so deep in therapy while writing it, I included all this stuff. And now it's turned into this thing where people are telling me how thankful and they see themselves. And what a beautiful byproduct of I just committed to telling the truth.
Yeah. The truth is very appealing. Was there an inciting incident that drove you to therapy?
The initial introduction to therapy was my mom having cancer and my dad going, you need to go to therapy. You need to sort this relationship out with your mom before she dies. Then after that, it was just relationship shit and just becoming addicted to learning about myself. The talk therapy gets you so far, where I call awareness hell, where I'm like, all right, I've gathered enough information. I now know what all the shit is, but how do I change it?
Yeah, exactly.
How do you embody these things? How do
Now
you?
what?
Yeah, I have found a life coach that really changed things for me.
Oh, wow.
Which sounds silly. I remember a life coach. I'd be like, a life coach, okay. But when I finally started working with one, she gave me like action-oriented behaviors that would change old habits and ways of being in relationship or ways of coping. I remember saying to her, I'm not going to say thank you for those flowers. And she was like, why not? And I was like, because I didn't ask for them. You don't get to just send me flowers and then now we're talking again. And she was like, oh, this is such a great opportunity to unpack some of your red flags and your negative patterns. I'm like, what do you mean? And she goes, do you often operate in protest behavior? And I said, what's protest behavior? And she goes, you want to give them the middle finger silently. And I went, oh, I do think I do that a lot.
I love that.
Wow.
Is that wrong?
Yeah. I was like, I felt like that was a really strong way to deal with things.
Yeah.
Just remove myself quietly. And she was like, no, you're an adult now. You can advocate for yourself with your words. When you were young, it wasn't safe.
Yeah.
Are you a stonewaller in a relationship? Can you shut down and then just deal with the awkwardness and punish the person?
I don't do that. I want to communicate. I'm not afraid of confrontation. I do want to get in there. But once someone has showed any sign of going away, I will go away.
Yeah.
Very quietly and very swiftly.
I guess that's what I maybe mean.
Well, again, like yesterday's phone call. That was like you perceived that as this was going away. It's like, no, we don't have to do it. I don't want to do it.
Yeah. I'll let you off the hook before you have to tell me.
Because then you're never let down.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of times I've been a terrible person to be in a relationship with because there's part of me that's just like, you want to fucking battle? Let's party. I've been with the best of them. If that's where we want to go.
Also in my platonic female friendships, because of my dad, he's so opinionated and tells the truth, and he's very New York. And he's like, to be a good friend is to tell the truth, but to be brutal with it. And so I thought he was God for a long time, and everything he said was right. And so in my friendships, I would be like, you're a terrible friend. You're doing X, Y, and Z wrong. And this is why. There was no sensitivity or consideration for people's feelings or the audience. And so I was also a hard person to be friends with because I was brutally honest and I took everything so personally and everything was about me.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
At least you were super attractive. It made the medicine a little easier probably to swallow. I was just like already out of my league with most of the people I dated. But like, well, look at this surprise coming your way.
Yes, and so to your point with like healthy men, I did find boring. So I would push away emotionally available men. You're supposed to just be my friend because I don't have to work for your love. So you get to go in this category and I'm going to go fight for that person's love.
I was even thinking, I was reading the chapter right before you got here about landing in Austin, that excitement of starting this thing, meeting Zach Gilford and going like, oh, and then we got along immediately and he's so sweet. I'm reading it and I'm like, yeah, there's no way they're going to date.
Exactly.
Yeah, like he probably would be the guy if I can pick for you. I'm like, yes, go there. And in my mind, I'm like, she'll never go there. No, there's
know.
There needs to be a plausible threat of chaos around the corner.
Exactly.
Well, that was the whole show, Saracen and
Life imitating
Street.
art.
Yeah, but wait, who's Taylor Kitsch?
Riggins.
Thank you. Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah, so I was like,
even
are
knew
you a
his number for a
Saracen
while.
girl or a Riggins girl?
Oh, well. What were you?
I was a Saracen.
Oh, good.
I like nice boys in theory.
I don't know.
In theory. But yeah, in real life, I don't know. I know. It's starting to
Matt
become
Damon
more
is
of
a nice guy.
I know. The nicest. Wait, can we talk about one more thing actually because you asked her about if she was raising a child.
Yeah.
And I read a little bit that which this is heartbreaking, but you have talked about ending the gene pool basically with you. And I just recently had this thought of if I don't have a kid, I'm actually ending, because my mom has two sisters, they don't have kids. So that's the end of a family line, which feels so scary and also feels like, well, maybe that's the end of some passed down
Generational
trauma. Yeah. It's a weird thing to hold both. And how are you feeling about that?
I feel very peaceful about that.
You do?
Yeah. I feel very peaceful about dying. I don't feel the need to leave a legacy or anything, those kinds of things. I feel very at peace with seeing what's next. You know, when your mother dies in your arms, you have a different relationship to death. And also a lot of plant medicine helps you be very curious about what comes next.
Yeah.
I really loved How to Change Your Mind. Michael Pollan talks so much about the experience of watching these people white knuckling death and then having a psilocybin ceremony and then dying with a smile on their face. And I identify with that.
How often do you do shrooms?
I love mushrooms. I do them as often as the opportunity
needed.
presents.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I've done them quite a bit, and I've had a range of experiences.
Sure, me too,
I've
me too.
completely lost my mind and not known what time is and like who
God
this
knows.
person is. I remember looking at my boyfriend at the time, being like, "You're here, and that's okay," and him giving me a pineapple, and me being like, okay, like paintings were melting off the wall.
Yeah.
But then learned the right dose. And so now I'll have little journeys with my girlfriends where we'll like find answers and connect and tell the truth. And I now know how to facilitate the right experience.
Yeah.
It's not a party thing for me. I know
Yeah.
people now are like, you want to do some mushrooms? I'm like, my God, no.
Yeah. At
Right.
this big loud
Here
event
now in
with all
front
these
of people?
unpredictable
No.
humans.
I need the
Yeah.
right music. I need the
Yes.
right scent. I need the right lighting. I also need to have different stations set up if we need to change our minds. If someone's having, we can go out
Yeah.
here or we can do this. And I need the right food and beverages ready.
Did you happen to hear the episode where Monica did them?
No,
I forced her to do them.
really?
Well, let's not use
At
the word
gunpoint.
forced when it has to do with drugs, but yes,
Strongly encouraged.
you did.
It was one of the best things I've ever witnessed.
It was crazy.
It started bad.
Really bad.
When? How?
During COVID, none of us had done shrooms. It was a group of us. Dax was the only one who had done them, but he wasn't doing them.
Yes.
They wanted to microdose, and I'm like, there's no point. So it
Exactly.
started there.
Nope.
They all took these, and I'm like, this
We
isn't.
took, like, bites
this is a
of
waste of your time.
chocolate.
Exactly.
Then everyone's sitting around, they're not, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, let me show you guys what you're supposed to take. And then so I break out some stems and caps and I hand them all out to everybody. And then when you're not doing them,
Yeah, it must
and
be.
everyone's talking about whether or not they can feel it, you can only handle about 12
If
minutes
you're
of that.
wondering if you could feel it, you're not feeling it.
Right.
So I was like, I'm going to go inside and hang until it starts because
Okay.
I can't go through this. Like, is that plant? Is anyone's? No, that's not. And I was like, oh my God, this is maddening. So I went inside. Now, mind you, I have promised Monica, you don't need to worry. I will be there and don't be scared.
I mean, this
And
is
then I'm- and
years
then I'm
in the making
gone.
of him trying to be like, you should do it, you should do it.
Yeah.
And I'm circling back a goody goody. I've never done.
Although she threw up a hot dog in her friend's
I don't
face and she
wanna
stole her friend's cookies too. That's how this whole goody goody thing started. I said,
my
I
God.
like that you're a goody goody who's also stole the cookies.
I know.
It was all compliments,
Oh
if
my
you recall,
God.
if I need to remind you.
Okay, well, I don't do drugs at all.
I'm not a druggie.
Well,
I don't.
I would argue this is medicine.
Exactly. But, I just never experimented with
Yeah,
any of those
yeah,
things. So
yeah.
it was a big hurdle for me to do.
Very brave of you.
And then
Then he went in the other room.
she's starting to trip.
Okay.
And I'm like inside watching TV.
God.
Like they're all outside. And then I think someone comes in maybe and says, like,
Yeah, Kristen.
Monica's very upset.
Okay. Oh, shit.
And
Well,
I'm
because
like,
my
"Uh-oh."
hands were turning to grandma hands.
Oh.
And then they were shrinking. It was so weird. Sometimes I can still like kind of see it.
Sure.
when I
How many
look at
grams
them.
did she have?
I didn't weigh it, but I bet she had about 2 grams.
Perfect.
Yeah, and then it was all of our first times. It's contagious. So I'm like, huh. And then somebody else sees me doing that and is like, yeah. And it started to feel so claustrophobic. Someone's hair was looking so bright and strange. And then Kristen came out and she looked
Yeah,
weird.
I can't look at people.
Yeah, it was so scary. And I was like having a panic attack.
Yeah.
So Kristen went back in and got you, I think.
How'd you fix it?
I said, let's go for a walk. And then we left the backyard.
Yeah.
And we went out in the street and I said, look at all the cars. They're sleeping. And she was like, oh. I go, look at that house. It's a set. We're on the back lot.
That was making me emotional. Oh.
And I said, I'll forget the sentence.
Yeah. You said you can choose. You
You
can
get to
choose
choose.
right now. This can be scary or you can choose to embrace it. And I was like, okay, I guess it is a choice. I'm going to choose to embrace it. And then I
And
did.
I started doing all the tricks, like
Yeah.
the tricks that work when you're on shrooms. And then it became this
It was such a good
incredible-
life lesson.
I want to know what the tricks are.
Well, the cars thing. Next time you're on
Yeah,
shrooms with people,
that's great.
point out
They're
that they're
sleeping.
sleeping. They
Beautiful.
are definitely sleeping when you're on
Yes, I love
shrooms.
it
You're
so
like, oh my
much.
God.
They
And I go,
are
they're waiting.
Yeah.
They're waiting to be woken up so they can take someone somewhere.
Yes.
And, all houses look like a movie set. And I'm like, let's go for a walk on this set. Let's see what other houses they built.
I was
You just
also
got to
so
get into
skeptical of him. I was like, how do you know this?
Of course.
What, are you on shrooms too? Because how do
She
you
couldn't
know?
comprehend that I wasn't.
Oh,
Because I knew all the tricks.
Yeah. thought, oh, that's such beautiful caretaking.
It was.
I
It was
love
really
that. That
great.
touches me so much. That's
was very
such a beautiful role to assume. And I love that so much. It's my favorite thing.
Yeah, it was really, really, really fun to watch the turn from the terror to the smile. And then she started saying some fantastic stuff. I wish I'd
Cars were
written them
covered
all
in
down.
saran wrap.
And then at one point she just like, I forget what you said
I'm grateful.
for this experience.
What do you think changed for you?
It was that line of you have the control
Oh,
right
beautiful.
now. You can choose.
Yes.
It's a life lesson. Things can be scary, but you can choose. And you have much more control over everything than you think. I'm a very fearful person, so it's applicable to a lot of things in my life.
Absolutely. That's so beautiful. It makes me think of when I did ayahuasca. I remember I was so prepped for that. And I had someone in my life that really, really set me up. And he said, we're also programmed to be afraid of darkness and to be afraid of scary things. And that's when we get in trouble, is when we want to resist the darkness or the scary stuff. But if you can just remember to stay curious and just ask, what are you trying to show me? What do I need to see? Because whatever you resist persists in life and in medicine.
Yeah.
It will just beat you harder with the lesson unless you open yourself up to it and go, okay, tell me what I need to see. And I love that so much.
Okay, here's one weird aspect for me about being on shrooms, and I'm curious if you feel this. I feel defenseless, which is a curious feeling for me because of all the things I just told you. Like, I have dedicated myself to being fearless and in charge. And so I remember many times, like in Santa Barbara when I lived there, walking around with friends, tons of shrooms, and thinking, well, if anyone wants to beat me up, they can. I don't know how to defend myself. And what's really funny is then you learn later that it's actually separating your ability to talk as strongly with your identity center. And so it's because my identity's offline, this one I built, I'm indomitable. I can't access it. And I remember what it feels like to feel vulnerable.
Exactly.
Yet I still enjoy it. It is one of the more curious parts of shrooms for me is that I feel so vulnerable.
You surrender.
You have to.
Yeah.
Because I know I'm vulnerable, I actually have to move through the world smiling at everyone. And then you're like, oh, that's also the solution. Not having to dominate everyone. You can just be available to everyone and trust that no one's going to hurt you, which is a scary proposition.
But it's amazing when you finally put your dukes down and you see like, oh, I don't have to keep fighting.
Yeah.
No one's out to get me anymore.
That's a hard one for me
I don't
to
have to
learn.
outsource my safety to anything or anyone. I am safe now.
Yeah.
Because I'm a grown up and I'm okay. And no one gets to hurt me anymore.
No, but that one's the one that's the hardest for me to catch up. Mark, I guess he's a doctor, will say, you have money, you're big, who's going to hurt you? And I have to really think, like, I guess he's right. Is he? Are we sure, Mark?
Right.
Well, Minka, this has been a blast.
Yeah.
I'm really glad you wrote a book so that we can hang out
I
for
know,
a couple
me
hours.
Too. Thank you.
Yeah.
I remember too being like, I wonder if I'll ever do Dax's show. Here we go.
Here we are. Oh, I'm so delighted you came.
Me too. Thank you for having me, you guys.
And I'm only going to ask
lovely.
for one commitment. If I ever call you,
Yeah.
the assumption you should be making is I'm here. I'm not going.
I didn't call you to go away.
I'm here. All right. I adore you. I hope everybody reads your book, Tell Me Everything. It's so, so good. Buy it for your friends. Buy it for strangers on the street. Buy it and throw it in the trash. Tell me everything.
You know what? Sorry, I can
No, please.
talk to you guys
No,
forever.
yeah, do it.
I remember struggling with this part of letting it out. And I remember my coach reminding me of one of Eckhart Tolle's books where he prefaces it with, this book might not be for you. You might not relate to it. It might not make sense to you. And that's okay. But don't throw it away. Just put it back on the shelf because it will mean something to someone else.
Oh, yeah. I like that.
Yeah. So don't throw it away.
That might be the
Put
only
it in
thing
one
I
of
liked
those
in that
public libraries that they have on the
Just
streets.
lean it up against a wall
Yeah.
somewhere.
Someone will take it
book. Well, there's probably a kid you can see wandering around.
who might need it.
Yeah. I love you. I adore you. Everybody read Tell Me Everything. I can't wait for you to come back.
Open invite.
Thank you, Monica.
Stay tuned for the fact check so you can hear all the facts that were wrong.
Okay, big update. Let's get right into it.
Okay. So I'm home now.
Okay. I see that you're in your apartment.
Yeah. It's hot. I'm sweating a little.
I see that you're a little shiny. Were you? Well, not in a negative way. I just thought, oh yeah, it looks warm there.
Well, I also just went to my witch.
Okay, and had some treatment.
Yeah, so I'm a little shiny because that, but also it's hot.
Did she use acid?
Always.
Always. She loves her acid. She's like Timothy Leary. She's so pro acid.
She really is. Okay. So
Really quick, do you need to get like a wet towel or anything and dab off?
no, I don't
or
want
you
to.
got-
I don't think I'm supposed to wipe
touch
off
anything.
the
Okay.
acids.
Okay, great. Are you sweating in your armpits?
No. I don't sweat very much, as you know,
That's right. It's not for you.
because I'm so dehydrated.
No duty, no sweat.
No, I definitely make
Oh,
duties,
I'm not gonna do it. Okay, so your phone. Last time we spoke, the last time the Armchairies knew, you were very happy in your London hotel. Things were going great. You were going shopping the next day. Ashok gets through it. He's a better man than me, we decided. And then what happened?
And then a couple days after that, it was my mom's birthday.
Happy birthday, Nermi.
I bought her a nice present.
What'd you
That
get
was
her?
fun. I never really get her presents for her birthday. That's not a thing we do.
Oh, it's not.
Well, it's a thing parents do for us.
Right.
But-
It's not a two-way street traditionally.
No.
Okay.
So we were at Harrods, classic.
Yeah, textbook shopping in London, right? Harrods.
Yeah. And my mom was looking at this bracelet. It was a Prada bracelet, leather.
Oh, leather Prada bracelet. Okay.
Kind of thin, and there was no price on it. And she was like, oh, I like these. I wonder how much they cost. And we got distracted and they were hungry, so we didn't get to check on that price.
Right.
So then on her birthday, I went and I got the bracelet.
Secretly got it.
Yes. And then presented it. It went great. She's so happy. Oh, I'm sweating so much. And okay, so we're thriving off of this great present. Speaking of, she just
Yeah.
texted Sim.
Oh my gosh.
my God.
Did she love her present though?
She loved it.
Did she say
loved it?
Monica? Monica. That's my normal impersonation.
It's not bad.
Monica, this is too much.
No, she didn't say that.
Okay, good. She took it with a smile.
she's-
Now I know where you get it from.
No, she did feel like, oh wow, this is extravagant.
Oh,
But-
good.
I know she deserves it, and the not quality, the texture, whatever. It's pretty casual, so she can wear it day to day.
Right. Wear it to Lubby's, her favorite cafeteria, or whatever it's called that you can't remember. Something like that. Lubby's cafeteria.
So all to say, we're having a great mom birthday day, and we go to this. Can I even call it a restaurant? Okay, it's like a pub, I guess. Listen, I guess it's important that I say this part. I didn't want to go there.
Is that important that you say that part?
Okay. Because I'm right, and as you'll find out in a second. It's just this random place.
And you get a list of all the best places and you don't want to waste a meal, right? That's your position?
Yes, that's how I travel. It's important to me to have good food and to try the places. But it was my mom's birthday and I was being really cognizant of this. I was like, don't, whatever they want is fine.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Ladies' choice.
We go into this place. There's nobody in. There's like 2 people in there.
Okay.
We order.
Great
We
sign,
sit
by the way.
down. You don't. Hello. You don't have to tell me that.
I am always
So-
looking for me, the high water mark of a restaurant is you have to wake up the hostess because they've been sitting there for so long they fell asleep without any customers. That's when I know I'm in a great spot.
Yeah. So we order, we sit, we're chatting, everything's great. And my phone is on the table.
Mm-hmm.
We have a bunch of bags. As I said, they're the Prada bag from the bracelet. There's, fancy bags.
Yeah, you're basically
This-
advertising.
I know. We're sitting ducks. But this woman comes in looking all scraggles,
Disheveled?
And she comes up and she has like, crazy eyes. And I was like, oh no, like this is a bad situation. And I know that she's going to try to steal. So I am paying very close attention. Well, this is a thing. Okay, I guess this is also a PSA.
Okay.
In Europe, this is a thing.
Okay.
And you have to be really careful because it's all planned out. Like they try to talk to you and then somebody else comes and will steal something under your, like
They're
as a distraction.
decoy.
It's a whole thing. And I remember when I studied abroad in college in London, I was warned about this then. And it was like, be careful and always hold your backpack in front. And,
Yeah.
But I forgot.
Yeah. You made the mistake of trusting the world. It's a
I
good
know,
mistake
I
to
did.
make. It is a good one to make, though.
I still believe in it.
Okay.
I
good.
still believe in it.
Good.
Okay, so she has crazy eyes, and I'm immediately focused on the bags and purses. She put this paper down on the table. It was laminated, and it had this weird animal, like kind of cat-looking thing on it.
No. Anytime someone's got laminated paper, I'm out.
Well, exactly. And she was just pointing. She wasn't speaking any English words. She wasn't saying any words. She was just pointing to the weird cat, like a spot on the paper over and over and over again. And I just started saying, no.
Right. Okay. Right. No. Not here.
Yes.
What's the hotel?
Yeah.
Not hotel. What's the restaurant staff doing? Anything? They're asleep at the wheel.
So literally, they don't see any of this.
Okay.
So I'm saying, no. And then she leaves. And then I looked at my dad and I said, yeah, that's a whole thing here. They come and they try to steal your stuff. Basically, I was bragging that I knew.
Sure. Yeah. Sounds like something I would do.
And that I had saved us all.
Yeah.
Because
You're
I
a hero.
knew.
You want a hero's welcome.
I did.
Yeah.
And then about 10 minutes later, we're getting ready to go. And I start feeling around and looking. Phone is gone.
Oh boy. You got to
She
hand
had
it to
done
her.
a-
She had some quick hands.
100%. She had
She earned
skills.
it. Yeah.
She had placed the paper on my phone.
Smart. Maybe a tape on the back.
Well, either
That's what I would
tape or
do.
when
Double-sided tape, and then you pick up the piece of paper and the phone stuck
shit.
to it.
No, but
Yeah.
that's high risk because it could fall.
But if it falls, you go, oh my God, I have something sticky on the back of this. Totally deniable. Even though she didn't
guess
speak
you're
any
right.
English, she wouldn't be able to say shit. You would have to answer for, oh, she must have had something sticky on the back of there. Now I know why she laminated it. She has sticky shit all over everything.
Ew. Gross. Okay, well, maybe she did that because that is smart. Or I think really it's just sneaky. They know when they're grabbing the paper to grab
Sleight
the
of
phone
hand.
underneath.
Sleight of hand,
Yes.
But you love magic. You should have loved this.
Well-
This was magic.
I had a feeling you were going to try to spin this as a positive.
Well, so far so good. I mean, we got some content out of it.
Yeah.
You were right. You were vindicated. That's good.
That was good, but she did get away with the phone. Everyone starts panicking, and I think it's good. It was good that I was with my parents because they were in such disarray over this that I had to just be calm. And I was like, it's fine. I just was really chill. It's like, it's fine. It's not a big deal. Could have been my laptop. It's fine.
Now you kind of know my role in life. It's like everyone around me is kind of, they get wound up. I got no other choice but to not care about anything. Someone's got to not care.
Yeah, but it's a little stressful when it's your issue. Like, it was my issue, but I had to, kind of.
Comfort everyone.
So then I was without a phone in London, and I had to get one. I got one, but I had to get a English London SIM card that wasn't going to work in the United States. And so I did that, which was fine, but, sucked. That all sucked. Because, we had to go to the Apple store, and then we had to go to the random carrier place.
Were you able to lock it from your mom's
Yes.
phone? Okay, great.
I was. It said it was pending because we weren't in Wi-Fi, but I assume that's all fine.
Okay.
So then I had this London phone and I couldn't text anyone. So I was kind of using WhatsApp a little bit. I couldn't get my email on the phone because I couldn't remember the password to my email. And then the 2-step verification process went to my phone. I mean, it was like,
yeah.
so stressful. And then for me, the main fear was, how will I get home? Like, how will I?
Because your flight information's on there. And
yeah, and that was okay because I thought, I'll just look on the computer early and like write it all down. But mainly it was about getting picked up. Like we just take for granted how often we're just texting, I'm here, meet me here. I mean, it was so old school. I had to call, I WhatsApped Christian.
Okay.
And said, hey, I'm in London and I need to be picked up, but I won't have a phone. I gave him all the info and he's like, okay, that's fine. George will pick you up at arrivals. And I was like, okay. And then, I'm just getting my luggage and I was like, what is arrivals? Like luggage or, it's just panicky. It is so panicky. We're so late because we had to sit on the tarmac for so long and then they couldn't get the jet bridge to connect. So I also thought, oh no, what if he leaves? How will I know if he leaves?
you can't Uber because you don't have a phone.
Exactly. And I was like, I'll have to ask a stranger. Maybe I'll see if I can find any armchairies.
Yeah, sure. They would love to
But he was
drive you.
there. He said, though, after he said, I was getting worried.
Of course. Think how panicked he was. He's thinking you landed an hour ago and were wandering around looking for him and couldn't find him. And now very stressful.
I thought about that too. It's like, well, I'm so late. He's probably wondering if I'm looking for him. And then maybe he's moving locations because he's now looking for me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. How many days ago was this? When did you get home?
I got home yesterday.
Okay. So this just happened yesterday.
The airport. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, was there any upside? Like, did you find that without your phone, you had some anxiety, uncomfortableness, but then that subsided and you found you were more calm? Anything like that? Not having your phone?
I was hoping for that. I wanted that, but no.
No. Like, did you read a book instead or is anything? Do you have to turn to old technology to entertain yourself at night?
No. I just used
Your
use
computer?
my computer.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. All right, then.
Yeah. It was stressful. I would not recommend getting your phone stolen in another country.
Yep. Yeah. You're going to want to do that stateside.
Yep. Exactly. So, so that was that. I got taken advantage of, but it's okay. She has a hard life, probably. And, I don't want to trade places with her. That's for sure.
Well, this isn't what my mom said, but we can kind of apply it, which is like in life, you can either be the person taking shit or having your shit taken.
Yeah.
Probably rather have my shit taken.
Yes,
Yeah,
I would.
I'd rather take a shit is what if all the options.
all three.
Yeah. Just take a
Yeah.
shit as opposed to have my shit taken or take shit.
Yeah, take a shit's number one, then
have
your
my
shit
shit,
taken,
yeah.
then take shit.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's the order.
It's interesting that the only difference between take shit and taking a shit is ing, but dramatically different things.
Wow. You're right.
Uh-oh.
Oh, wait. No.
You thought you had a ding,
I
ding,
thought it
dingles?
was. Yeah.
Oh, no, darn.
It's for next episode.
Oh.
Okay, Easter egg then.
Okay, great.
Anyway, so that's my big update.
That's
Really?
a whopper. That is a whopper.
Oh, and then when I got home, I had to. Well, that was another. I was immediately meeting Rob and David to record, like as I landed, and of course everything took forever. So I had to tell them I was going to be late, and I didn't really know how I was going to tell them. So I had to ask George to use his phone.
Oh, boy.
Call Rob and he didn't pick up at first, and probably because it was a weird number. But I was smart. I ordered a phone to my house so that it was there when I arrived.
Great.
But then I had to go to the AT&T store,
Oh, okay.
which sucked. And I had to look on maps on my computer before I
MapQuest.
left.
Did you print out directions?
I didn't. I just memorized.
Uh-huh.
But that's big for me because I'm so bad at directions.
Yeah, that is not your strong suit.
So that's that. How has your trip been?
Absolutely lovely. My best friend and idol, Tom Hansen, came on the last night. He came and had dinner, he and Judy, his wife, at Kimmel's place. And
fun.
this is such a brag, but fuck it. David Chang cooked because he was there. So he made this
Fun.
incredible chicken and rice dish. And then my friend Billy, who I haven't seen in 16 years since he was security detail for someone I was dating. And now he's got like the best barbecue restaurant in Brooklyn and all these other restaurants. And
Cool.
blast from the past. That was really fun. And then drove to Jackson Hole yesterday over the pass, the big scary pass in the bus. It's always eventful. I play Adele every time we do it. So Hello from the Other Side, screaming, dancing and singing that over the pass. I have this today.
Oh my God.
And I'll tell you how this happened. So
Okay.
see
What
that?
I'm seeing is an earring.
yes.
Is it a diamond? I can't really
It is a
tell.
diamond earring. Yes, I'm wearing a diamond. So I was just now at Uncle Grandpa's house, a.k.a. Tom Hansen's house, and laying on the lounge, and Lincoln just started picking at my ear, and she's like, oh, I can feel where you had a piercing. I'm like, sure. Then she started squeezing and stuff. And then she was getting treasure out, which was really exciting. And yeah. And then she goes, it's wide open. And then so she grabbed an earring and stuck it in there. So now I'm wearing...
No.
Yeah, so now I have a diamond earring in, which has been, it's been 30 some years since I had an earring in that ear.
Wow. Can I be me for it? Did you clean it?
Oh, no. I'm definitely going to get a cyst in there now because it came out.
So you're going to have what I had. You're going to go rancid.
And with any luck, you can return the favor.
Oh, I'll try, but I'm not mechanical like you. I don't really know that I'll have. I'll try.
It'll up the ante when I know you're in there with tin snips cutting like I was to your ear.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'll be high adrenaline.
I have nimble fingers. I think I can do it.
You do. You're a very competent person in general.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would trust you.
We'll see. We'll put it to the test.
And you might be able to hear from my voice, I also am sick.
Oh,
but I'm really
no.
not acknowledging that. But yes, I have a chest cold that I got about 4 days ago. I went whitewater rafting.
Oh, fun. Yeah, your favorite thing. Well, one of something you like doing.
I mean, really, Lincoln loves it, which is the greatest. She looks forward to it. And she rode at the front of the boat this year with other girls, not me. She always sits next to me. But this year she was up there. And the riverboat guide, Oliver, said, anyone want a bull ride on the front through the next rapids, which is hang a leg off the front of the boat and ride it like a bucking bronco.
Oh
It was clearly an invitation to the adults, and everyone on the boat clearly thought that was an invitation to me. And then I actually showed uncharacteristic maturity, and I'm like, I'm not going to bull ride. So you know who did? Minnie
Lincoln
Dax.
did.
Yeah.
She did it?
Yes.
Wow.
Of course. Of course. And even when I was like, I'm good, because all the adults were like, all right, Dax, that's your cue. And I'm like, no, I'm going to sit this one out. And then sure enough, I look up there and Lincoln's bull riding through the rapids.
Hey, did it go fine?
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Can I tell you the other cutest thing? I think it may have already
so
started
cute.
when I talked to you last time, but the entire trip, there were golf carts, and she made herself an Uber driver. So she was just all day long, she drove people back and forth to their rooms in the golf cart. And I was just kept
Oh my
watching her
God.
drive by, and I was like, this is exactly what I would have done at 10 years old if there was a golf cart to be driven. Every time I looked, she'd be on her own, like cruising in this golf cart down a road going to get a client.
A client. Oh my God. That's amazing. How fun.
It was so cute. I can't tell you any stories about Delta because I didn't see her for 5 days straight because she was with her friend Maggie doing her thing.
I am
I
triggered
know.
by Maggie.
I
You know
we
this.
all are. Yeah. Yeah. Everyone is.
Well, I'm sorry you're sick. That sucks.
That's okay. I don't care.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel good to not feel good.
The only thing that bothers me about the sickness is that when I'm coughing around other people, they think I'm being irresponsible, that I'm out and about. That's the only thing that is a real downer about it.
Right. I feel like 9,500 people have colds right now.
9,500 people?
That's my guess.
9,500% of people have colds. Oh, I guess one fun thing. So I'm loading up to leave Idaho yesterday, and I'm not even out there. But when I come out to load Big Brown, there's a man who was driving down the highway, saw Big Brown from the road, and was like, oh, wow, that looks like Big Brown. Then saw the Waylon Jennings logo on the back and was like, well, that's definitely Big Brown. And this dude was there to just check out Big Brown. Like that, Big
Wait,
Brown
he
was
was
a
an
celebrity.
armchair?
I don't know if it's that or Instagram. I have no clue. I don't know, but Big Brown had a legitimate fan that had pulled their truck over to scope her out. And so I was thrilled.
Wow, that is so exciting.
Yeah, the dude did not expect to stumble upon me. He was just scoping Big Brown.
Oh my God, Big Brown is posting?
Well, you know Big Brown has her own account.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
okay,
on
so
Instagram. Big
that
Brown.
makes sense.
Yeah, I haven't posted on it in a year and a half, and I don't think I even know how to get back into the account. But yes, one exists for Big Brown.
Well, good for her. Good for her.
Yeah, she was pretty proud.
Oh, I bought a cool art piece. Not Anne Mansour, though. I love Anne Mansour still. She emailed me recently, which was
You're
cute.
still in a faithful relationship with Mansour. But let me see.
Yeah. Okay, hold on. You're going to like it. Okay, it's a little more modern than my norm.
Okay. Oh, yes. You know who it reminds me of is a Mondrian. And then in Chips, he had bought a Mondrian, was going to travel with it because they're worth a lot.
That's right. I knew I recognized that name. Okay. Yeah, so this artist's name is Nick Smith. And it's very cool. I love it. It's this big yellow square, basically. And there's a word underneath, multiple of his pieces at this place. We're going to talk more about that place in a second. But there's different words. So I had to decide, which, I'm so bad at deciding stuff, and it was hard. There was one that was petite, and I almost got that because that's very on brand.
Yeah, because you're petite.
But do you know what that word means that is on
Show
mine?
Show me again. CWTCH. Sea-witch. Sea-witch. Sea-witch?
I had never heard it. I'm going to read it to you.
Okay. How'd you get that fucking thing back from London?
Fit in my suitcase. It was all wrapped up.
Oh, wow.
The noun is cupboard or cubbyhole, but the verb is a cuddle or hug.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
How
and
does that word...
it's pronounced kutch, and it's a British word.
Oh, wow. A snuggle. That's wonderful.
Yeah. Okay, so the store I stumbled on, it's called Peter Harrington.
Okay.
And I found what I've been looking for. First edition.
Terrence Posner? It was in there?
Yep.
No.
First edition, first book.
You didn't buy it, did you?
I didn't.
How
I
much
showed
was
restraint.
it? How much was it?
It was 8,000 pounds, which isn't crazy.
That can't be the first book from that first press of 500.
Yeah. But it depends on how used it is. And so this one was red and it wasn't in like super
Pristine.
fine condition. There was the Chamber of Secrets there also, and it was signed by her. And it was 220,000.
That makes no sense to me when one is one of 500 and the other is one of 10 million. Like once the first book came out, they pressed a quadrillion.
Well, I guess if it's signed, the signed ones are really expensive. So I guess now I need signed first.
So if we ever interview her, we should bring 12 or 15 of those books.
Obviously, yeah.
And fuck, I'll even give her let me give you $400,000 to sign these 15 books right here, cash.
Or we could give her like a car or a kiss or something.
Oh,
something
kissies.
invaluable.
I'd love to give her some kissies. Granddaddy's kissies.
Okay, well, should we do some facts?
Facts, yeah.
Okay, this is for Minka.
Oh
Huge.
my God. The biggest. Love this episode so much.
Me too. So grateful that she was so vulnerable with us and felt like she could really talk about all this
I just
stuff.
love that the book has become a bestseller since we talked to her already.
Yeah. Okay, let's start off with a apology.
Okay.
Okay? I was wrong. I was super wrong. You are 100% right that Demon Copperhead is based off David Copperfield.
Oh, thank God. Because that was such a specific thing I knew. It felt insane that I could have made up something so out there.
Well, I think for me, when I first got the book, you hadn't told me that. And when I got it, sometimes authors do quotes at the beginning.
Yeah.
And there's a David Copperfield quote at the beginning, which is, "It's in vain to recall the past unless it works some influence upon the present."
Interesting.
And so I read that and I thought, oh, maybe this is about that. And then I thought I looked it up. I did look it up. I just did a bad job, I guess. And I was like, oh, it's not. Weird. And then I thought, oh, maybe you read that too and did the same thing where you just decided it was about that. But it is.
Lo and behold, it is a modern telling of David Copperfield.
It is. I was wrong about that big time. So
I'm not
sorry.
even the least bit upset.
Barbara Kingsolver. Okay, she was raised in rural Kentucky.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
But she also lived in the Congo in her early childhood.
Whoa.
But her dad's a physician. So I don't think she lived the life of the characters in the book.
Yeah. But she probably witnessed a lot of it. She might have even, too, like, you could have been best friends with Aaron and learned that whole story and not had any of your own personal stuff, you know?
Yeah. But also when I did my original research that was bad, that was wrong, I saw that she did a bunch of research to write it.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. Talked to a lot of people probably. I don't know. Maybe she went there.
Yeah. We got to interview her.
We will.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, breast implantation through belly button.
Mm-hmm.
It's called the tuba procedure.
I'd call it the trombone if I was going to do a wind instrument, a horn. Because you got to fucking all the like way up. You need the big stretcher to get it up there to the.
It stands for a transumbilical breast augmentation.
Transumbilical breast, of course, the tuba procedure.
Insertion technique, the incision is at the navel, which dissection then tunnels superiorly to facilitate emplacing the breast prosthesis to the implant pocket without producing visible surgical scars upon the breast hemisphere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Well, that's really it.
Oh, okay.
It was not a very fact-heavy episode because, it's more about her life.
Yeah.
But facts will arise.
They do. They have a way of burbling up, yeah.
So what are you going to do for the rest of your day?
I'm going to go back over to Uncle Grandpa's. He's going to barbecue.
Ooh, yum.
Yeah. All right, well, I love you. I'm glad you got your phone back.
Thank you.
You're up and running. I hope there'll be more
Yes.
Instagram. You were just gone on Instagram, and if I knew, luckily, but had I didn't know about your phone, I would have presumed you were dead.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. If you go 3 days without posting, we got to send out a search party.
A few people texted.
Are you okay?
I was fully without a phone for over 24 hours. And so then today, this was a very annoying piece about the phone. And also, this is interesting. I didn't have a backup since September.
Uh-oh. Whoa, we're closing in on September, just to remind folks. So
Exactly.
yeah.
So it is weird because my last texts from everyone are from September.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And remember when I cut my finger and almost died?
Yes. Yep.
When I texted Laura today, that was the last text. It's like, I think I'm okay now. I have it elevated. So anyway, that was weird. It's weird to not have text for many, many months.
Mm-hmm.
Very strange. Kind of a weird time travel in some ways.
It's in some weird way, yeah, time backwards travel. Would you rather go back or forward?
Oh. Do I have to stay there? Or can I come back
it's a visit.
Okay. This is a good question.
Yeah.
I'd rather go back.
Because I want to, remember I did say that on a Flightless Bird. I want to meet people. Like I want to meet your dad and I want to meet the thief's family and see how she
See
was
if you can
raised,
turn her out
you
better.
know.
I'm getting nervous. I'm getting so old that there's no way your grandma's going to accept my invitation to dinner when I go back.
Why? Of course she will.
No, because I'm so old. I mean, it's getting so old. My kids told me today that I need to shave my beard and cut my hair shorter so I look younger.
No. Kids are kids.
Kids are stupid. That's the thing about kids.
Kids
They're
are really
They're stupid. They don't know shit. That's what the thing is.
I think she'll be happy to accept your invite.
Okay, good. Then I'm going back. Then that solves it.
Okay.
But I'm not going to go back to get shot down. That's a long way to travel. 50 years.
Yeah, but it's only going to take 30 seconds in the machine.
That's true. Maybe I'd want to meet Jesus if I knew I was going to get turned down.
Oh my God. We only have one thing we can only do one thing in the going back?
Well, yeah, you're going to one location in time.
Oh, no.
I know. It's very stressful. But I would love to meet Jesus and shake his hand and look into his eyes and see if maybe he was God. That'd be cool. If I returned and I was like, that guy was God.
But how would you know?
I
You'd
could
have
look
to
in
go
his
to the
eyes.
future.
I'd look in his eyes and I would know if he was God or not.
Oh, you can
Because I'm looking in your
by
eyes and I can tell you're not God. As much as I think you're great, you're not God.
That's pretty rude.
Well, no, I don't think you're the one and only God. So
Okay.
I hate to say, I'm really sorry. Okay, you're God. I mean, in a way you are because you're your dad's simulation that I'm in. So in some weird ways.
Well, I'd be Jesus then because
You're right, son of
God.
Daughter of God.
Well, daughter of God.
Jesus that.
Jesus. Oh my God.
All right.
All right. Well, I love you.
I love you
and
too. And we'll talk soon.
to you later.
Okay, wonderful.
Okay,
All right,
bye.
bye.